Good night, Barbados. Good night, good night. It is Friday, April 26th, 7 p.m., right on the dot, and we are ready to go, Barbados. We are ready to go. How is everybody doing? It's Friday. Oh, my Lord. And it's exciting. We are excited to be alive, aren't you? Oh, it's a beautiful day, wonderful day, great evening. And we are excited to be alive, to be in the land of the living. Tonight, we have an exciting show that is lined up for you tonight. Caswell Franklin is coming on, and he is going to be talking about food security. He has something to show you all. Caswell Franklin has something to show you all. We're going to have a fantastic discussion tonight about our food security in Barbados and all these agricultural lands that they're trying to put concrete on. And we're going to talk about that and how is that going to impact us in Barbados and what do we have to say about that? Wonderful. As we mentioned, what we have to say, we're talking about the cybercrime bill because they're trying to shut us up, right? They're trying to shut us up to tell us you can't speak, or they're going to give you 7 years in jail or $70,000. So we have to talk about that. We are going to talk about some of our pensioners, the elderly among us that's not getting their pension check with all the great promises and all the things that they're going to do, and it's going to go straight to your bank account, and all the people still not receiving your people still receiving late, or some of them like they're not in the system or some issue going on. So we're going to talk about that this evening, and we have some questions for Edmund HINKSON tonight. We have some question for him. The that committee, the Joint Select Committee that he heads up, and I'm gonna, as we go later in the show, we're gonna pose those questions to him tonight. So it's a great night, great night, and we have come together because we love Barbados. Because we believe in the rebuilding of our country, we believe in the rebuilding, not just economically, but socially as well. Spiritually, we believe in the rebuilding of this country, one brick at a time, brick by brick. And everybody who logs on here, my hope is that we are willing to lift some cement. We are willing to lift some blocks. We are willing to drive a nail. We are willing to lift up a board. Some part of the house might be board, some part concrete. But whatever it takes, we are going to rebuild this country. You believe it? You believe it? Yes. We live here. This is where we live. And it is possible. This rebuilding is possible. We are working together. Yes? We find ourselves, we've had to be pushing back a lot. I want to see the time where we now come together and we said, okay, let's rebuild. And that's part of what the diaspora is doing with our health festival. They're becoming answers. And that's really what we want to see. There are young people who are going to go into parliament for the first time to talk on the cybercrime bill. You know that is rebuilding. That's part of the rebuilding. Because we're now speaking up. To rebuild Barbados is to rebuild the people. It's to rebuild the citizens. Because when the citizens come into who they are, when they are rebuilt spiritually and rebuilt in terms of our identity and our heritage, then we are standing up stronger and we're speaking out louder. And it is a rebuilding of Barbados, rebuilding of the Barbadian that we're really after. It's important, and that's why these sessions are so important, educational. We're taking the scales from your eyes so that we can rebuild the person, the individuals, the citizen of Barbados. That's why we play the national anthem. It's to engender patriotism and a love of self, a love of our country. Then you take personal responsibility. Then you take national responsibility. And you get to the point where you ask, what can I do for my country? How can I serve my country? We sit and we hear all that is happening day after day. And it's always my question, what can we do? What did you do for Barbados today? Did you just complain? Did you just criticize? Did you write something to the cyber bill, to that committee, the Joint Select Committee on the cyber bill? Did you sit and type an email? What did you do on behalf of Barbados today? How have you served Barbados in the last month? We're coming to the end of April. How have you served this country? Stop, and I want us to think about that. As we see the things and we come on and we talk about the things that need fixing, and we talk about the issues that we have, let us understand that within us we are empowered by God with that knowledge of on how to solve the problems. And I've just been thinking a lot about the rebuilding of Barbados. And we heard that story that Sean Tudor shared the other night with Nehemiah as he was rebuilding the walls. And he was taught how Nehemiah was taunted, he was threatened, letters were sent to him, but it didn't stop Nehemiah. And I can tell you, it's not going to stop the Marcia Week show. We will continue. We will continue to work on behalf of this country. All of us together, we've pushed back so many things. We've been fighting and pushing back. And now what we want to do is as we are fighting, we're fighting with one hand, and we're rebuilding. We're rebuilding. We're rebuilding. What area can you work on? What can you do for Barbados? I know I haven't greeted you yet, and I'm going to do that, but I'm going to continue on that this path tonight. Angel Humble, first to be on, blessings, Angel. Diana Husbands, blessings, blessings. Cecilia Miller, good evening, FX Trading, good evening. Yuslin King, good evening. Yes, I love FX Trading. Say focus, focus, sons and daughters, focus, focus, focus. Huh? Don't get sidetracked with what this person is doing and what that person is doing, and that party is doing. Barbados is about Barbadians, not about political parties. Barbados is about Barbadians. When Barbadians are strong, Barbados is strong. Simple. CG. CG is a woman who, we're doing the marches, and we have a march coming up, and CG will go by Unity Workers Union, and she would sit there and do placards by herself. Sometimes she will use her own money and buy the material. That's what you call service to your country. And these placards will be done, and there's some of you who come on and you watch and you never come to a march. You might not come to a march, but what are you doing for Barbados? Important, guys. Nigel Carrington, good evening. Marcia, good evening. Galbiz, Galbiz, good evening. Oh my Lord, good evening, family. Clive Osborne, good evening. Sandra Franklin, good evening. Margaret Pollard, good evening. Cynthia Mohan, good evening. James Harding, how you doing? Cynthia Thorpe, hey, Fabian. Fabian, how are you? What you doing for Barbados? How are you serving him? Serving Barbados. Owen Hines, how are you? Oh my Lord, Sir Alfred Benjamin, how are you doing? How are you doing there in the diaspora? Come on. We thank God for the diaspora, and we know you're more than a barrel, and you're more than Western Union and MoneyGram. You've got some ideas over there. We want to hear them. We want to implement some of them. You're part of us, and we're part of you, diaspora. Sugarcane King, Hey, Judith and Clark, Judith and we need to talk about this all of this stuff here. The arm. I want to know what has happened. Have you heard from the Prime Minister's office on that issue? Emerson Bob, Paul Rollins, Marcia, my namesake. Good evening, Cyriline, Benskin Murray, Rachel Thornhill, Tammy Griffith. Oh my lordy. Denzel Griffith, Grazet. Denzel. I can't call your name, Denzel. Denzel Grazet. Jefferson Sobers. Oh, how you doing, Noel? Not Grant. How are you? It's good for you to be in the land of the living. The government of the Barbadian people. Tiger, yes, Barbados. It's all about Barbados. Yes, we are rebuilding more morally, spiritually, socially, financially. Yes, in Gelbis, we have all the answers because God lives in us. We have all the answers that we need. All the answers in Barbados right now. We have all the answers that we need. I see someone, I need to talk about that tonight, where they are. Let me make a note of that. We don't believe in ourselves, and our those who are our leaders, they don't believe in us. The biggest and the best jobs, they have to bring people in to do it. What do they think that does to our morale in Barbados when it tells us you don't believe in us? That the biggest jobs you believe that you have to give it to someone outside of Barbados to do. Huh? You believe there's the job at Sandy Lane. You saw that going around where the immigration is saying that they're applying to immigration to get someone for that job. Huh? One of us need to just apply for it. Call the immigration. Call immigration and complain. Or say, listen, I'm a candidate. Look how many people are unemployed and tell me about they can't find a manager in Barbados. Listen, I'm gone ahead of myself. I haven't done the anthem yet. Doriel Clark. Good night, Nigel. Good to see you, Nigel. Gelbiz. Yes. Joy and Faith. Yes. Edwin Price. Noel. Wayne Mac Austin. I love to call everybody's name. I can't get to call everybody's name, but you are so welcome. You are so welcome, and I want yes. I want us to know that we are enough. Barbadians, we are enough. We can do this. You believe it? We can do it. Let's play the national anthem, man, and you're gonna hear this. Just get all up into the anthem. Get all up into your feelings tonight. Get all up into being Barbadian. Get all up into that tonight because we can do it. We are enough. We are enough. We need to let our leaders know we're enough. We're tired of this constantly asking for, we have to get help from overseas and this stupid begging. We're tired. We are enough. We are enough. We can do it. Barbados, firm craftsmen. That tells us we are working. A craftsman is a man. If we're working, we're craftsmen of our faith. Means that we are working. We're not waiting on somebody to do it for us. That's what I love about the people that do craft. Okay, they work. They work with their hands. Creating. We are creating the Barbados that we want to see. We are rebuilding. We don't want to hear about what's happening in other countries and what they're going through and what we are enough inside of here. We want our leaders to know. We want our Prime Minister, Mia Mottley, to know we are enough in Barbados. Will you start believing in Barbados again? Will you start believing in us again? We believe in ourselves and we want leaders that believe in us. And we are saying if we have leaders that don't believe in us, you can't lead us. In everything we have to look overseas. We have how many hundreds and probably not hundreds of consultants. We are enough. We are enough. This is a message. We want our leaders to understand that, and that's why we are fighting, Somebody says that Marilyn is saying here that this PM and her minions are so full of self-hatred and have no self-esteem. When you see our Prime Minister trying to get a picture with Biden and hold on to Biden's hand, just make her seem so small. When you're going around and you're happy to come back to tell us how many grants and loans that you got, you make us look small. We're not, that's not punching above our weight. I say, Barbados, we are enough. We are enough. Yeah? We are enough. Leanna says, Marcia, you have started with fire tonight. I look forward to an informative and educational show tonight. Yes, because, I see Mr. Franklin is trying to come in. He's having some difficulty, but we're going to have a very strong show tonight. And I want to say to you, I've been thinking about oppression. And this evening, my family, I went and I looked up the meaning of oppression. And the word oppression means the exercise of authority or power. The exercise of authority or power in a burdensome, cruel, unjust manner. The exercise of authority or power in a burdensome, cruel, unjust manner. And while Mr. Franklin is coming in, I want to say to us, Barbados, that I've been doing a little research of my own, and I want you to help me with this research. And what I have found so far, this is what I've found. Now you come back and you check for me and let me know, if I'm right or if I'm on the right track. But it seems to me so far that Barbadians that we have the highest taxes in the Caribbean. Income taxes, and then all the numbers of taxes. In fact, we have a bill in Barbados, our water bill. If you're listening from overseas, try to understand this. Because, when I talk to people outside of Barbados, they don't understand what I'm talking to them about. Our water bill, in most instances, the taxes on the water bill out is more than the usage. Right? It's way more than the water rate. The cost of the water versus the taxes, if you're to separate them. That's where we live. Yeah. That's oppressive. That's oppressive. When you look at the Public Order Act, so that's taxes, right? That's taxes. And if I'm wrong, somebody correct me. But let's look at taxes. Look at the Public Order Act. I also checked. And in 1937, after they had the 1937 riots, a lot of these Caribbean countries, Trinidad, Barbados, Jamaica, they, um, you know, had this. Well, no, it wasn't then. It wasn't then. This actually they changed. They did some changes, and Mr. Franklin is listening. He can always make some addition to this, but I'm not sure if he's ready to come on yet. But in 1937, there were some changes that were made in terms of how we can protest, etc. However, Barbados, under Errol Barrow, instituted the stringent public order act in the entire Caribbean. As far as I know, we are the only Caribbean island that has to pay money, hundreds of dollars. Because even if it's 900, it's still hundreds of dollars to march, to protest. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? We have to bend over backwards and spin over and flip over and dig in our pockets to go on the street to protest. In this here Barbados. When I tell my friends in Trinidad or Jamaica or Bahamas, they're like, what? What are you talking about? St. Vincent? You talk about oppression. The exercise of authority or power in a burdensome, cruel, unjust manner. Huh? When we're looking at even just the things we got in our arm, as far as I know, we have the highest percentage of this. Yeah. Talk about oppression. I tell you. Mr. Franklin, let me see if he's ready. Yes. Yes. And, I say to us, good night, Mr. Franklin. I hear talking to my Barbadian people. We have, Mr. Jones is on. He says, together we are more than capable of overcoming challenges and shaping a brighter future for our nation. Now, that's what I'm talking about. I don't want to hear about what party is doing and what. Listen to me. Listen to me. When we start to focus on this, Mr. Franklin, when we start to focus on this, on our country, on our people, the people, we are who make up Barbados. You see, when we start to focus on that, we're going to see how, all the answers, and because we have it in us, we have brilliant people here. Mr. Franklin, good night. I'm in a real preaching mode tonight. How you doing? You're muted. You're muted.
Yeah, good night, Marcia. You hear me?
Ooh, it's low. You're low. You're low.
This is one of the new. This is a different mic that the people gave me two. One stopped working, so I have this is the other one. I've not used this one
Right.
before,
It's a bit
so I just
better
trying.
now. Is there any way you can? Oh, it's causing me to hear myself. So can you go out and come back in and let's test it?
All right, let me just try this out.
Yeah, I'm hearing myself doubling up. I don't know if Dave can call Mr. Franklin and see how we can work that out. Because we want to make sure we hear him good, very good tonight. But someone was saying here, someone says, somebody CB said it made the news today. They added a 15% tax to fossil fuel vehicles. I mentioned this last week on the show, but apparently we don't share facts. We don't share facts. We don't share facts. I'm not sure what you mean by that. Okay, so that was done. They added a 15% tax to fossil fuel. I'm telling you, we are burdened with taxes. You know, we are living in this country that where they choose to just it's like we you know, they just want to abuse us, you know, to exploit us. Let me see if Mr. Franklin is still coming in. I know Dave, if Dave can give him a call, we want to make sure that we hear him. Yeah. So I want us to I want us to think about what we are able to do for our country. Mr. Franklin is here again. Let me see. Let's see.
Tell me if you hear me good now because I will have to raise my voice because these devices I don't know how to use them so well.
Yes. Hello. Hello. Ah.
You
Yes.
getting me?
There's a repeating.
Um,
Dave,
no,
can you
try it.
call?
You hear me now?
I'm hearing you, but there is a repeating. Usually, it's yes. So there's something happening on your
No,
end. Why
I'm using the device straight. I am not. I just took all the.
Okay, so we're just trying to work out some technical issues here. You know, I really want us to be thinking about um how we can serve this country. I really want us to think about that. Think about what happened in the. I have a book here I'm reading on the 1937 riots, and there's a quote here from Charles Duncan O'Neill, and he had warned the Parliament 2 years before those disturbances. And what I'm seeing happening in Barbados right now, I am appealing to those in government to take notice. Take note of what Barbadians are saying to you. Be conscious of what is happening to Barbadians. It is difficult for us to even buy proper food. Literally, it's difficult. It's expensive. It's hard on families. We're overtaxed. We're burdened with taxes. Every time we turn, there's just something going on in this country. Every policy that is put out, there's something wrong with it. They have to pull it back. Huh? No wonder people are so frustrated. There is a frustration that is building in this country. It is tough. And this is what Charles Duncan O'Neill said. He warned about this in Parliament 2 years before the 1937 right. So that was in 1935. Charles Duncan O'Neill said, "In the back alleys of Bridgetown, there's a dangerous spirit existing. I had to curb the passions of men recently because they wanted to do funny things. Unless the governor and his committee take urgent steps in this matter of unemployment, grave trouble is brewing in this country." And he spoke about it 2 years before. Nobody listened. There's so many issues that we are dealing with in this country. And we don't get a press conference about it. We don't hear our prime minister on it. She came out and she did a press conference the other day because it had to do with with that plantation that we were going to buy, and because we had, you know, people from overseas, the overseas media, they were really on her about it, and it's going to affect her, you know, her chances for the job she's looking. Nothing to do with Barbados, in my opinion. In my opinion, it would appear to me that it is because we are getting that she is getting pressure from the British media throughout the region, right? All over, people are like, what could she really be doing? We got a press conference. Look at all the other issues. When was the last time we heard her? The last time she told us that was when she was talking about not pretending to care, about pretending to care, I should say. We haven't seen her again. She's traveling all about. We don't know whether she's here or there, thither or yon. We don't know. Nobody's listening. They don't want to listen. Yeah, Mr. Franklin is here again. Let's see. Hello, Mr. Franklin.
Hear me good now?
Yes.
Okay, they had to get another device altogether. This device, thanks to the Chinese gave this to the people in Parliament so they can spy on us. When it was in Parliament, they gave us these Chinese laptops. I mean Chinese iPads. I wouldn't use it, but now I
Yes.
found a use for it.
Yes. Yes.
my
Yeah.
son,
Yeah.
my son, my son, my son cleaned it for me because I don't know how to deal with these things. Because when one of the senators had his check, they discovered that it had spyware on it. So, but I just suspected that they would have done something like that. So I didn't ever use it. I had
Yes.
my own, so I used mine. It's only then when this senator went to get his check to discover it was spyware. So when my son, who happens to know a little bit more about computers than me, he cleaned it and stuff, and I started using it then, but never for my own, never for business. So I said, well,
Yeah.
I can try it tonight. So if you're hearing this, we're gonna thank Xi Jinping.
Well, we're happy that we can hear you tonight, and I was reading
Mm.
some quotes here, you know, from Charles Duncan O'Neill, and also from Grantley Adams. Grantley Adams before the 1937 riots, and Grantley Adams says there's a limit to the forbearance of even so patient an animal as the average Barbadian. Yeah, this is what Sir what Grantley Adams said. He says the native Barbadian is not much different from the native of Saint Kitts or the native of Jamaica. He is more patient, but even a worm will turn. And you remember I was saying that it's no the Barbadian is no different from a Jamaican. Really no different. We're the same enslaved people. No different. And here is Grantley Adams agreeing with me. Right? The native Barbadian is not much different from the native of St. Kitts or the native of Jamaica. He's more patient. But even a worm will turn. At some point, even a worm will turn. There is danger in this island that at some time or other, the people who live under these horrible animal conditions will behave like animals. That's what he said, that the behavior was like animals. The people were standing up for themselves. I would not classify the people's behavior like animals. But I've been speaking to so many persons, Mr. Franklin, over this week who are without a place to live. We drove into town and look under the Treasury building. I am telling you, listen, I wasn't born here and I feel I was most embarrassed. I said to my husband, this is not Barbados. This place pop down, pop down, pop down. This is, I am sick of going into town and seeing the town like that. And right across from all of these homeless people with bags of clothes and clothing lying underneath the building there, the government building there. Right across from that is the $3 million concrete and steel that is made. How long you think people are going to continue with this kind of thing?
I'll tell you something though. those people at the Treasury building, there's going to be help coming for them just now. World Cup. It's called World Cup. They're going to find accommodation for them. You wait and see. I'll bet you $1. Because we want to give a lot of foolish impressions, but when it really comes to taking care of our people, the government refuses to do so. They don't. And the Prime Minister, when she said that, she just pretends to care about people, and those were the words out of her mouth. And if you look at the video when she was saying it in the House of Assembly, Santia was not in. So that means that Santia agrees that she only pretends to care about people. So when people say all the thing at the end of the show, they think that's me speaking. Put the music, But
And
unfortunately,
go ahead.
you know, Marcia, you've been hinting at it, but I'm telling you, if we do not start taking care of the poor people in this country, 1937 can happen again.
I'm telling you.
Because there's too much suffering, and the suffering is always at the people at the very bottom. And we have resources, but what has happened with those resources? The politicians use them for their own benefits. We have a welfare department. Rather than up the vote for the welfare department, they give the politicians $1,200 a month to spend in the constituency. That is not their job. If they want to go out there and do largesse, go and do it. That's do it with your money. But no, we have a welfare system, and they're still taking $2,500 every month to every MP. And I'll tell you something. A lot of them don't spend it in the constituency; they keep it. So they get another $2,500 on top of their salary. Even though they fill out reports to say that I spend it on this, I spend on that, mostly works of fiction. Give the money to the organized system, and because the welfare department is organized, it's structured for that. And a lot of people abuse welfare officers when they don't realize welfare officers ain't got no more to give. Because they will have to put it in their pockets. And a lot of civil servants do that.
Yes.
Trust me when I say to you, we have nurses at the geriatric hospital at QAH. When they have patients that don't have anybody to come and look for them and bring stuff, they go downtown and buy washcloths to bathe them and get them soap and a little powder and thing. And government is spending money on foolishness. The same $3 million monstrosity that I don't have the monument to LGBT people downtown. Because they call it family, but the family has no gender. That family has no gender. So it is a monument to non-gender, what is called it? This is non-binary or whatever they call it. I don't know. I try not to know. That is what they're trying to force on the people of this country. That is why they allow the children, the little boys, to go to school dressed up like little girls. Because they want to change our system. They want to make it normal. And I don't understand it, but something I've been asking, I've asked a couple of priests, and I've asked people at school, going to school, why was the Easter vacation after Easter? Normally, Easter is to celebrate the resurrection. So if you want to de-emphasize the resurrection among people, because a lot of people ain't going to church now, and what little bit that we used to do in the vacation, the Easter vacation, to commemorate the resurrection, they put in the resurrection a week or two after Easter. I don't care what they tell me. I feel it is a plan. I feel that they're trying to de-emphasize Christ. So let them get the Easter vacation. It can't be Easter vacation anymore. Because that's what it was all about, It was to celebrate Christ's crucifixion and resurrection. That is what the Easter vacation was scheduled to do. That is what it was organized around that time. And this year I noticed that it was after Easter. Blame COVID, blame whatever else, but I blaming these people who want to take any sort of moral and religious thing from our society. They just want us to be non-binary, gay. Um,
Whatever. But you know, Mr. Franklin, I tell you something that sometimes, so I started off the show by asking us, you know, we see these things happening. What is it that we're going to do? What can we do? We on the show, we've been taking a lot of initiatives, but I find that there are lots of people who come on here, and I'm happy you're entertained by the show, but that's really not what we want. That's not the not the objective, right, Mr. Franklin? The objective is not to entertain you. Yes, I know you love Mr. Franklin's jokes and you love to hear him, you know, but that's not the objective. The objective is to mobilize you, is to agitate, it is to educate. That's the objective of the show. And so that's why I'm asking us, do we see that the areas that we can lift a hand to, that we can work on? Mr. Franklin, I know you have something you want to show us, but I wanted to just read a few little, just a little bit of this book here, by G. Addington Ford. Just not even a minute, but he talked about at the end of it. He speaks of some of the initiatives that came after the 1937 riots, because there comes a time, you know, we don't have to riot. But I think that there, you know, Mr. Franklin, there needs to be a radical change that happened inside of here, a total makeover of this country. And when after the 1937 riot, they had the establishment of the Labor Department. 1 year later, the following year, these are some of the initiatives that he's saying that came out of that 1937 riots, right? At least a year after, the employment of a labor officer, because they had a lot of issues in labor, in the working conditions, right? As Mr. Franklin would come on here every night and talk to us about these things. A lot of our working conditions is horrible. In the public sector, they're unfairing the workers. And you think people are going, how much longer you think people are going to take that?
Marcia, Marcia,
Uh-huh.
pause there. I want to talk about the Labor Department and formation. People will recall when the Saku was piloting the bill through Parliament. She introduced the bill first, the Employment Rights Bill. That's to strengthen labor. The Barbados Labour Party or opposition was opposed to the Employment Rights Act. They wanted to kill it. And since they have come into office, they have done nothing. As a matter of fact, right now, the Employment Rights Tribunal has given one decision so far for the last 4 months. Right? So when they were pushing help for labor back in 1937, after the riots, this government that cares nothing about labor, that they have made it their business to neuter or make sure the Labor Department cannot do its function. First of all, they put a labor a chief labor officer that has not been involved in industrial relations. She works in the Labor Department, yes, but she ain't got a clue. But they like it that way. I remember the last one before her, he wasn't too good either. I remember the day when he was leaving, he was planning to go on retirement. He said to me, "Oh, Mr. Franklin, I'm planning to retire. I'm going to retirement very shortly." He says, "I'm not. You'll be happy about that." I said, "Damn right," because he thought that he would have said, you're a good man, But I was happy to see him go. This government is doing everything. Mind you, this is a Labour Party. This is a Labour
Correct.
Party, and it is doing everything in its power to make sure that labor is undermined. First of all, they destroy the Barbados Workers Union. They're under the NUPW now is in ICU, and they like it that way. Barbados Secondary Teachers Union. I think they got I think the reason why NUPW only got into ICU just not recently is because Barbados workers BSCU died and they came off the machines, so they don't have much space for them. They are destroying labor. This government is doing everything possible to destroy labor. When you are talking about 1937 and 38, and that was something when they were fighting. I think Grantley Adams, I keep telling people Grantley Adams might be rolling in his grave to think that his beloved Barbados Labour Party, the one that he helped, but he didn't help find. He wasn't even around at the time. He was overseas when they started the party, but he was the best known, so they made him leader. But this government is doing everything for the money class.
Yeah.
They're making sure they pay less taxes. They're putting the burden of the taxes on the people. Like you were talking earlier about the water. People who used to pay $32 for water now paying an additional $45 for taxes on their water.
Yeah.
And because there were a lot of them, you know, they are so you can see now they're gonna release the people who have these swimming pools and they pay the same $45 as opposed to a guy now who has just a pipe running in the yard. So I had to join in there, Marcy, because I want
Yeah.
people to know that this Labour Party government is anything but Labour.
But you see, you know, Mr. When I listen to you, and I thank you for jumping in there, because when you're listening to you, and Easy D has a comment here, and I'm trying to keep it on the screen because I want to address this, because that's the mentality, Easy D. You know, you have a dissenting view, and you're always welcome here, which is wonderful. But I want to address something you just said there. But let me try and I'll keep an eye on it. I keep an eye on it so that I can think. But um, the other thing that came out of it, another initiative, Mr. Franklin, out of the 1937 riots, is the passing of the Labor Act, or the Minimum Wage Act, which legislates minimum wage an employer can pay to an employee. All that came, it's a year, it was initiated the following year, right? The passing of the Employment of the Women, Young Persons, and Children's Act, bringing an end to child labor. These are the things that our foreparents and our ancestors died in the streets of Barbados about and fought about. Huh? The passing of Working Men's Compensation Act. It's all, Mr. Frank, these are the things you are now fighting for. And I'm saying to those of you who are listening from the Barbados Labour Party and from this government, listen to the people of Barbados. We are tired. The passing of the Trade Union Act, the activation of the Old Age Pension Act, which had been passed the previous year, but it was now activated after the 1937. So these are some of the initiatives that occurred after the 1937 riots. The extension of social welfare office, the increase of the police force to 556, and 556. I can't see the rest of it, but anyway, another significant result of the disturbances, Mr. Franklin, was the clearing of slums in Bridgetown. You see what Bridgetown looks like?
It's
I
going back.
thought, huh? We're going back.
It's going back.
We're going back. Another was a clearing of some slums in Bridgetown, and the establishment of the first public housing areas for lower class persons. Right now, we're going to see so much homeless people in Barbados. First of all, they're pushing the people. They want Bridgetown is just going to be all, I guess, all concrete, and they're doing this rebuilding, and then this whole gentrification of Bridgetown. They're going to be moving out the people out there, but they established public housing to lower class persons. The first of these was the Pine housing area in 1952. The 14-year delay explained by the Second World War, which erupted from 1939 to 1945 and disrupted many programs. So they're saying after that you did have World War that disrupted a lot of the programs that they had set out to do. But we need an overhaul. Yes, we're going through hard labor. Hard labor, I am telling you. And so Easy D, Mr. Franklin, and then I'm going to turn it over to you. Easy D says that we are ignoring the elephant in the room, the disruption and confusion in the DLP. Now, if they can't fix the squabble, how can they run a government? Listen, I don't know. You weren't here at the start of the program, Easy D. And, I'm speaking to Barbadians. And I'm saying to us Barbadians, we are enough. We're not talking here about any pointing any finger at anybody. We are looking in the mirror, we're looking at ourselves, and we're asking the question, what can we do for our country? These people with the 1937 riots, were they talking about any for all of those changes that you saw happen there? Did it happen through a party because a party did it? It was the people of the country. The people of Barbados rose up and demanded these changes. And that's what I'm talking about. Let us not be quick to be jumping and asking for. We're speaking about this. It happens to be that this is a government in power. The BLP is a government in power, and they had all the seats. 29 that won across. So we are now speaking to this BLP government. You understand? But it was the people of the day that stood up and demanded change, spilled their blood for change. And we are now we're living in this, and it seems that living in Barbados now, it seems like we're regressing. But over to you, Mr. Franklin. I know you had some, so you want to talk about food security.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about food, but let me talk to EZB first. You know, that is the cry of the opposition, the Barbados Labour Party, because they want to say the opposition is divided, they can't rule, they can't do anything like that. I have been a member of the Barbados Labour Party. I have been a member of the Barbados Labour Party for many years. As a matter of fact, I've been a member of the Barbados Labour Party longer than I've been anything else. I was in the Barbados Labour Party from the time I was at school, right? I did everything in the Barbados Labour Party. I was an ordinary member on the floor. I was vice president of the branch. I was a member of the National Council. I was assistant secretary, which was like assistant general secretary, but we call him assistant secretary. I did all of those things. And I can assure you, the Barbados Labour Party has just as many problems or more than the Dems. But the Barbados Labour Party has better PR. That is all. And it has better controllers, because when the noise don't leave Roebuck Street. They make sure that noise is kept at home. I remember Fred Gollop and Pat Simmons used to be, at my time, when anything happens, they would call you and put you in order. And now, because, let me tell you, right now, if you speak to the MPs individually, most of them abhor what is happening around them, but they want to keep their salary. So they're not speaking up. So don't tell me about the Dems. They don't want to hear. Because under David Thompson, the Dems were jockeying for positions and trying to take leadership because everybody wanted to be prime minister. And eventually, they got vexed and Arthur stole most of them. And then Thompson was able to get a good fighting force and come and take the government. And they can rescue the people from the Barbados Labour Party, because they then became arrogant and behaving very badly, because they were in power for 2 terms, and the third term now they feel that they could do anything. If Thompson did not come in, we would have become that dictatorship at where we're headed right now. As a matter of fact, we're here, we've arrived. So the problem with the Democratic Labour Party then was that we were going through a crisis that was boiling and simmering, really. And then when Thompson came into office, it boiled over. So they were dealt a bad hand. When the Barbados Labour Party did some good work for the first 10 years. So when you hear them talking about the lost decade with the Barbados Labour Party, no, it was the last 15 years. Because the last 5 under the Barbados Labour Party, we were in bad trouble. People fail to understand that. Thompson took over during trouble and tried his best. When you saw them borrowing from the central bank and borrowing from national insurance and stuff, they were borrowing to stop people from being sent home, and they were borrowing local. This government came in and stopped borrowing locally, took right off the national insurance money, right off the money that they borrowed from central bank, and start borrowing internationally, and didn't understand that when they borrow like that, Interest rates are variable. And now we are in decline and they're denying it. So I bit of a party in power, you're gonna get problems. It is the PR that helps. This right now, you see they have the Paris Peaks.
Mm-hmm.
When they have the Paris Peaks, they take all the resources. Let's say the Paris Peaks in St. Thomas. They take all the resources from the MTW depots in that area and rush to St. Thomas and fix up a few roads and stuff. Make sure the lighting power fix the street lights, or the government electrical engineers fix up the street lights, and then they come in and they parade. And then the next Paris Peaks, they do a mass shadow work again. And they go in there and they tell you, look, we want to talk about. They're going to let them know we want to talk about what the questions are. So when you see them coming there and asking questions at this Paris Peaks, the questions are vetted before you can ask the Prime Minister. So there's nothing, so they control everything. So when you hear the people coming there and seeing the Prime Minister present, these are people who were brought in to praise her.
Yeah.
I thought this chat about one of those Paris Peaks. The man, I couldn't even get to the door.
But we thank you for that explanation, Mr. Franklin. But we, as I think Easy D and anybody listening understands what we're saying. It's a message to the people, and the people. It was the people's power, the power of the people of not another country, not of Antigua, not of Trinidad, not of Jamaica, Mr. Franklin. It was the people of Barbados. All of those things that you heard listed there, it's our ancestors that made those things happen. That's why I started off the show. What have you done for Barbados recently or ever? Have you just been taken from this country when blood has been shed for all of those things that I just talked about, all those policies and everything to do with labor came out of the blood, the sweat and tears of those that fought in those that stood up in the 1937 riots. And we have a little march, Mr. Franklin, for pension and NIS and so on, and a handful of people come out to it. Huh? Our ancestors must be thinking, what has happened to us? Have we been so duped? But
Muted.
anyway, over to you, Mr. Franklin.
Marcia, as I told you earlier, I wanted to talk about what is happening with agriculture, not as an expert or anything, just what I'm noticing.
Yes.
I grew up in St. Thomas. My mother and father both worked at Vaucluse Plantation. Vaucluse Plantation had sugar cane, they had tomatoes, they had cucumbers, they had cassava, they had cabbage, they had everything on that plantation. So, because you don't plant canes all the time, you have to rotate. So you take out of sugar for a year or so and plant yams and sweet potatoes or whatever.
Yeah.
Vaucluse Plantation does not have a single vegetable on it today. And a lot of it has been transformed into from agriculture to racing. I talk about motor racing and housing. I live very close to Content Plantation. Content Plantation now has not a single cane blade, not a single tomato, not a single cucumber, not a single anything. Two of the large fields, one is called Westview Rock Hall, and another one on the other side of the road. There's a new development out there where they used to plant sweet potatoes and cane and all that kind of stuff. They are both now in housing. Hopewell, where I used to get some really nice yams. Hopewell had a variety of yams that was nicer and better. Except for Jukes, where you still get some vegetables, and I got yams from Jukes earlier this year. Farmers, Dunscombe, all of them are out of agriculture now. I don't know why, because agriculture is profitable if you want it to be profitable. But instead, I hear the government talking about getting vegetables from Suriname and Guyana and carrying our black belly sheep down there to get the hooves rotted off because the ground always wet down there. And they are not planting, but they are allowing people to import vegetables into Barbados, even when we have local supply. And the farmers, James Paul and everybody crying out that you can't get certain things sold because they're coming in cheaper. And this is what I want to talk about. And I went to the market in the last week in February, and I saw this guy with some tomatoes, but tomatoes was scarce. So I bought 5 pounds. I thought they were local tomatoes. Turned out that they weren't. And to
So
this
you bought these at the market?
I bought them in the market because the hawkers in Barbados now, because they are not getting right now. There's not the climate or whatever it wasn't suited or whatever the growing conditions weren't suited for tomatoes at the time. We weren't getting local ones, so we brought in, and the hawkers, the vendors, they went and bought some of the overseas ones, the ones that were imported, and they were selling them. I didn't realize at the time, so I went and I bought some. February, the last Saturday in February, the last time I shopped in February, it was the last week in February. This is one of those tomatoes.
Hold a minute. Let me move this here so we can show the people. So that is the tomato. You bought that tomato
in February.
You said
in February.
Wow.
Right?
So wait. You bought the tomatoes green.
I bought some because they were I bought 5 pounds, so I bought some ripe and I bought some turning. This one here, you're saying now.
Put it close.
This one, I bought some looking like this. They're no turn into this. After those 2 months and
2.5 months. Guys, you heard that? 2.5 months.
So tomatoes don't last this long, and they are not in my fridge. They were on the counter. They were on the counter for the entire period, just sitting there. Because they weren't soft, so I didn't put them in the fridge to keep them any longer. I put them out so that they were ripened. I'll get them to eat. I eat lots of tomatoes. This is what after 2 months, 2.5 months basically, that tomato has done. It wasn't green. I didn't buy any green ones. This is what they are now. This is what the government is forcing the people of Barbados to eat. I have actually grown tomatoes in my time.
Okay.
And I do not know of any time a tomato lasts this long. Never. The only time a tomato lasts this long is in a can. And what I tell you, this is what we are eating. This is what the government, rather than encourage agriculture, is putting there for people in Barbados to eat. Something is obviously wrong with this. This is not food. It can't be. You said tomato cannot last 2 months, you mean? A Belgian tomato can last 2 months. A normal tomato can last 2 months. But these last 2.5 months so far. And I'm here just waiting to see how long it's going to last before I throw them away. This is what they're feeding us. This is what they're allowing merchants who just don't plant a single seed to make money off the people of Barbados. You can go and you can get all these genetically modified and foods. The tomato shouldn't last this long. If it were green and it wasn't ripe enough, and yet anything, it would have turned black and mash up. But these things ain't like they're going nowhere. This is 2 months. Marcia said all plastic food. Well, this it could be. Look at them. Look at them. Look.
Wow.
This is what they're asking us to eat.
But you know, Mr. Franklin, and this is I want to just jump in here. This is so important. I'm so glad you brought this up because this is connected, and you brought it up so beautifully. Yes. The Draxol and Bannatyne, and yeah. I will allow you to do that. But I want to say to Barbadians, as we listen to this this evening, it goes back again to how I started this show, talking about personal responsibility and national responsibility. There is a side of it that is our responsibility, guys. It's a food that's going in our bodies. Huh? Food that's going in our bodies. We've got to make these demands on our our government. And when you see people like the people in Bannatyne, all we can think of, people start to say, oh, because you know they're white and they're this and they're whatever. Huh? When the people are talking about agriculture, there needs to be a personal responsibility that we take for our food as well. But back to you, Mr. Franklin.
Marcia, this, you know what, I'm angry. Why I'm particularly angry? Because this is what is left back from 5 pounds. I ate the other 4 pounds already, you know. I ate the other 4 pounds in short order.
Wow.
Well, I got some nice local ones yesterday from the co-op in St. George. I bought a big bag full because I don't want another one. These are my house.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what something might sprout of them and come and eat me. I don't know. And we are choosing to import these so that people will make money rather than farm our own lands. So instead of farming our lands, you're going to cut them up. And like Bannatyne, that is no. It's a cane ground. So if it can grow canes, it can grow tomatoes, it can grow yams, it can grow a lot of other things. But you want it to grow cement.
Right. People want you to talk up a little louder. He's trying, guys, right? because of the right. And the volume can't go any louder. Sorry, folks. We're doing the best we can.
DRAX Hall.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, go ahead.
Prime agricultural land. And the Prime Minister wanted a gimmick. I said gimmick. So they decided that they're going, rather than, you know what, because DRAX offered to sell it, you know, to Barbados. But they didn't want the people of Barbados to know that. They wanted to give the impression, we're going to take it from him. Mind you, and give him the same price he was going to ask for when they compulsory acquire it. So it was a gimmick to fool people, to give people an enemy. To say, look, you see, the government take it from him. The government take it from the man, they won't give it up. And don't give it. And these people use it as a gimmick. They're always trying to fool us. But no, they're going to go and they say, oh, we're going to do it for housing the poor. We don't want housing the poor on DRAX Hall. We want food on DRAX Hall. And we want it to continue to grow food. I don't have to import this type of nonsense from anywhere to eat, because a lot of this stuff you grow here. We don't have those type of chemicals here in Barbados, so we can't be using it. I used to see some. Look, I bought some carrots yesterday. Carrots grow with little knots and knobs and grudges, and some of them got 2 legs and that kind of thing. That's the carrots I buy. But you know, when you go in the supermarket, you see some carrots, all of them are 9 inches long.
Mm-hmm.
You know, not a little, because they what they do, they genetically modify these things and they put the certain things in them to stop the pests. So they become their own pesticides. the food becomes their own pesticide, and they kill the pest. So nothing, worms, nothing eat it. And I'm telling you now, if the worms don't eat it, you don't eat it. If you
Correct.
got cabbages, if
I said that to people, Mr. Franklin. I grow callaloo. And I remember when I was telling my mom I was growing callaloo, she's laughing. Listen, you go to school to be growing callaloo. This is Jamaican callaloo. And I say to people when I sell the callaloo, I say to them, listen, if there are no worms on it, something is wrong with this callaloo. If the worms don't want the callaloo, something is wrong, right? It means that they don't want to eat it. And if the worms don't want to eat it, Mr. Franklin, something is wrong with it. So I just wanted to agree with you on that. And I want to say about Bannatyne that yesterday, Mr. Franklin, I went down to Bannatyne because I like to go and see what it is that I'm talking about. I see the pictures, I hear the people, and I got out of my house and I went to the cameraman down there, and myself and Heather is in the country, and we went together to Bannatyne. And you should see the luscious skin, Mr. Franklin. You should see the area. Right now, there's no flooding there, but that area is green. The grass is green, 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 green. You could tell that there's water underneath it. It is good land. Huh? And that is, we're standing there trying to figure out how on earth are they planning to use this? First of all, I mean, with the flooding issues and all of that that's happening right there in Bannatyne, where they have to take have to pull people out of pull their cars out of the water. There's good water for agriculture, good land, agricultural land, prime land, and that's what you want to put concrete on. And I would love Mr. Franklin for you to answer this question. If you know, what is the vision of this government as it relates to agriculture and the feeding of the people in Barbados? But back to your point, hold my
no,
question.
no, I'll answer your question. We will get our food from Guyana and Suriname. That is their vision. They don't care about the farmers of this country. They don't care if we import swill hog food, as long as their friends make money. That is their vision. Yeah, I will make up my cabbages now. Same thing with cabbages, Marcia. When you see a fella selling cabbage and I got a couple of holes on the leaves outside, buy them. Take off the leaves. I got the holes in them and eat that one, because you know why? You don't got the pesticides in there, because small amounts of pesticides would have killed the worms that develop the the little worms that hatch up there when the butterflies lay the eggs, right? So just pull off them, throw them away. You got nice cabbage under there. You do not get the cabbage that when you go into the ones that imported, when you take them up and do like this, something white comes off on your hand.
Yeah, it's true.
I shop all the time. My wife send me to the supermarket all the time. She's give me a list. So I go on to shop. So, well, she's the boss. She tells me so. She told me so. So I agree with her.
Yeah, but this thing of food, the food. Somebody said food is not food. It's food sovereignty and not food security. I saw that comment. But regardless of what we call it, I think we all know what we're talking about. And we need to have some vision. Obviously, the vision is not to grow food in Barbados. Don't you see that? I want those that are supporting the government and so on, support this one and believe this one, because it is so true. Part of the government's vision as it relates to agriculture is not to grow food. It is not to grow food. It is clear. If you're picking up prime agricultural land and putting concrete on it, and say you're building houses, because you get up and tell yourself you're gonna do what? I'm at 10,000 houses. And you're looking. Somebody said to me yesterday, when I was down Bannatyne, I was trying to scratch my head, trying to say, why is this really happening though? And the person said to me, well, each house, you're talking about land tax. you know. So while you will get one set of tax for the whole, now you cut it up. And they're looking for money. It's a money thing, but that's quite interesting. I gone off tangent, but back to the food, the
No,
food
no,
sector.
Marcel, I want to go back on that time a little later. The land tax thing, I want to mention
Okay,
just a little thing about it.
yeah,
All right. When you eat these things, normally these are healthy foods. You get, good for your body. But when you eat these chemicals that you put in, you're going to find yourself in an early grave. These things are going to kill you. They are not food. And the government should be protecting us from this. Not everything is not money. You can't want Barbados to be a metropolis, but wherever you go, you find nice houses, nice rolling fields and stuff, and lawns and golf courses and stuff. And the poor people are shut up in the interior, in some little square boxes that they call houses that are hot because the building with sash windows. So and then you pull the sash windows down, no air gets in, and you cook there during the night. All the air and the gases that you let go at night still in there, and you breathe them in all the time. There's nowhere for them to go outside. Look at those houses, there's no ventilation. If you look at the old houses that the old people used to build, there was a little window, something looked like a window up in the arch there, with some flaps that the hot air used
yes,
to go through. You don't see them building like that anymore because they don't want to waste time saving your life. They want you gone. You're making the money for these people. So, but why protect you? Why save you? They are destroying the poor people. And this is what they're giving us to eat. God knows what else. This genetically modified stuff that we have inside there. This green, I fight them for these same long carrots.
yeah.
I fight them for all those things. I try not to buy them. But if you go somewhere and buy food, you don't know the people are going to buy. They call it cheaper.
What they put in them. That's why you have to try to cook you do your best to cook your own meal. But I want to say on this show here tonight, Mr. Franklin, loud and clear. And I know that they listen. I know, and I'm glad. I love the fact that we have some of the ministers who are listening to the show. I'm very, very happy about that. And I want to say, as I mean, this is what I know, because of what I have seen and what I'm experiencing in Barbados. There is no plan for agriculture in this country. I don't even know why we have a minister of agriculture. I don't know what it is. If it's about moving, just to move around the black belly sheep from Barbados to Guyana. What is the purpose of the Minister of Agriculture? I would love for you to come on the show, Minister of Agriculture, Indar Ware. I'm inviting you on the show. In fact, I'm going to send you a written invitation because I want to understand what is the vision of Barbados for agriculture. What is the big vision? What is the
Someone
plan?
someone just said that they don't buy seedless grapes. Right? My thing is, when I was growing up, my father used to allow a cucumber or a few cucumbers to get big and old, hard, to turn brown. And then it would be my task to wash up those seeds and put them to dry. So our next crop of cucumbers would come from them. We are now importing seeds. Everything is seeds. But these seeds come from somebody called Monsanto or whatever else. How they produce their seeds, I do not know. But when you produce a crop from those seeds, you cannot use the seeds from those vegetables or, like you said, cucumbers, to produce another crop. The seeds do not grow again. So there is something wrong with them.
Yes.
So we have to be careful. We got to try to develop our own systems. My father kept cows, and he used the manure from the cow pens to use to fertilize his field. And we used to get some big stuff and thing growing inside there, you know. but we bring in the chemicals that go into the water table, and now so now they put in chemicals and they put in jobby. This government won't kill us.
You know, any caring government, Mr. Franklin, would be thinking about seriously about how, you know, the population, because that's what we started talking about tonight. At Barbados, it's really the people. And if we are not building up the people, then what are we really doing? And this is a very, very serious, this is a serious show tonight here. And I'm speaking to the powers that be. If we're not building up our people, if we're not taking care of their health, why are you there? What is your purpose there? No? If
Okay.
this is what you're bringing into the country for us to eat, what's the point? We can't, you can't, the water, we're worried about our water, we're worried about our food. There's no hospital. Nobody wants to get sick. Everybody try not to get sick because we will eat all of this horrible food, and if we get sick, they can't even, there's nothing here. We can't get any operations. We can't, no, the hospital not working. You realize what we're living in? Yeah,
All
Mr.
right.
Frank.
But what, Edwin Price, thank you. You came out to my next note. When you import all of this food, you gotta pay for it. And you do not pay Barbados dollars. So you have to right now we are not earning any foreign exchange really. So you can borrow that foreign exchange to buy the food that we don't really need. Then we can grow it ourselves. And then you don't have any money to pay for it. So we got to go and borrow again and put us in a deeper hole. When you plant vegetables, when you plant food, we don't have to import them. So if you import them, you have to pay for them. And you don't pay for them in Barbados dollars. You don't use monopoly money. You use foreign exchange. So that is another problem that this short-sighted government. I remember years ago there was this guy. He was Australian too, I think. He had some fields done by Hammond's factory on the other side where they can plant where they plant the plant in marijuana now. They got rid of him, and now they got the fields where plant off for marijuana and stuff. So this government, the only thing this government wants to plant in Barbados now is marijuana. Where did we get these people from?
You know, it's
Look,
terrible. It's
I
terrible.
go into the supermarket just to
Terrible.
show you. I go into the supermarket. It's a massive supermarket. But because I usually shop at Popular, but when I don't get what they want, it's short at Popular, shopping got none, I go by Massey. And I
Mm-hmm.
walk through. I wondered when I saw imported plantains in the pretty plastic bag, sliced. All you got to do is take my plastic bag and put them in the thing. A plantain, I came home and it's 15 seconds I had a plantain slice up. So it is not a hard thing. I check it for myself. They import um, peeled garlic. A garlic again, you take it and squeeze it like this and everything comes off. And you importing that because somebody's making money off the importation. We're importing
Yeah.
coconut water in cans. But you know coconut water goes off if you leave it out too long.
Right.
Right now I have coconut water here. And I'm telling you, if you leave it, you don't put it on the fridge, it goes off too long. So you have to put some preservative in that coconut water to ship it from Indonesia or wherever it's coming from to send it to Barbados. Why are we importing coconut water? Because it gonna have one of these chemicals. God knows if it's the same embalming fluid that they got in this one. Because you know when a fellow dies and they put that embalming fluid in the thing, you can keep it for months and you ain't gonna decay. This is what is happening to our food.
But you know, Mr. Franklin, I'm here thinking that Kimar said something on here some time ago, a while ago when we started, a couple months ago, and he talked about the Chinese and how they are working closely with the Ministry of Agriculture. In fact, they are doing some rice fields or some experiment and so on. Why would you bring the Chinese in here? to be involved in food. Everybody in the world knows that a lot of what they eat in China is not real. What you it's so you love us? It's so you care about us? These are the plans that you have for us? It just, this is why I'm saying to us Barbadians, we have, regardless of who is in power, believe me, it has nothing to do with that. All you've got to do is just to stop and think, take off the blinders. Just look at the situation for what it is. Just look at agriculture. There is zero plans, zero, no vision, nothing. All they want to do is import. And anything that is happening, oh, they have this thing. Did you hear about the thing that they have the Chinese doing rice and all that?
Yes, and they're doing they got this place in Thomas that, and I think our university want beating. Mr. Edgel at Jukes gave them a large field to they can develop their agricultural program. Now you see the same field is turned over to the Chinese, and I got some buildings up there with some potters and skinners because I can't read Chinese, so that's what I can call it. Spotters and skinners. And they said again, some farming and whatever else they can do up there. I don't know. I passed it a couple of times. I don't know exactly what they're doing. I don't want to know. All I know is that the one food that the Chinese will not get is snow.
Sorry, Lord, those of you who don't know, no, Snow is Mr. Caswell's dog. Mr. Caswell, Franklin, oh Lord, listen, you say you let me laugh what brawling on the people show. Oh Lord, have mercy. Anyway, Lucinda says I plan. I pick a couple. That's what was happening to me, Lucinda. I go and I was picking my cherry tomatoes, and that vine is drying up, and I have another one growing. And I come back again, personal responsibility. Everybody, you can plan something. So, yes, we talked about the minister, which we need to get rid of him and all of them because they don't have a plan for Barbados. But I believe, though, that we can take personal responsibility, everybody, even if it is a little something, and Mr. Franklin, this whole thing with agriculture is so beautiful because when I'm in the back there, my neighbor comes across and he's talking to me. Another one comes across and we're talking to each other. We're sharing our bananas we're sharing tomatoes, we're sharing bay leaf or whatever we're growing, we're sharing. We're going across the road. My neighbor came across the road and gave me some figs. Let me tell you something. If they don't want to do it, we go and do it. You hear what I tell you? We take that responsibility and start to grow your own things. Grow your tomatoes for yourself, and don't buy those concrete things. Those things, they're 2.5 months, Mr. Franklin, have them and they haven't ripened yet. What is that? Huh? And we are going to spend our hard-earned money for that. Start to grow. Or why are we buying? Mr. Franklin, I used to buy the little bag, the bag of season that have the thyme and the little pepper and the nice. It looks pretty, and I used to buy that. I can't tell the last time we bought that because I've started to grow my own seasonings in my yard. You understand? And trust me, I am one that don't know much about farming, but I realize that I have to take responsibility for what I put in my body. I'm going to try my best. Mr. I go on and I learn on YouTube, and I go live. Or when I go live on Facebook, the people tell me one day I was planting the cassava. I was planting the cassava upright, right? The cassava stick when I cut it.
Yeah.
And I didn't even know I had planted 3 sets of cassava before and planted them upright, right? And it's a people told me online, no, 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 Marcia, that's the wrong way. Planted this way. I'm like, what? And listen, I planted the rest of them that way, and they are doing better than the ones that are planted this way. I didn't know. All these years, because I didn't know. The first time I know what a potato slip was about 2 or 3 years ago. I didn't know what that was. Because all you do, you go to school and you're doing this, and then I'm doing film and I'm doing all these things like that. And that's why I'm saying to people, take personal responsibility. There's a time you can blame the government all you want. Yes, we know that they have a sense of responsibility because at the stage, until we get to a certain stage, we still have to import. But we should not be importing over 90 something percent of food imported in Barbados. No, after all of these promises that they have made to us, this is ridiculous. We got to demand more. We have to demand more, and that's what they did in 1937. That's why the people were fed up. The same Bajans, the same ones. They got fed up and they said they couldn't take it anymore. We have to reach that point. Yeah?
Well, Master, we can only tell the people
Yeah.
they have the. You see, but the things are cheaper. The things are cheap, so we have to make it so that we have an abundance in Barbados, so that it will become cheap. But you're
Yes.
not going to get an abundance if they take the agricultural land and put them in housing.
Correct.
So you see, one problem goes from the next. So this government seems to have a plan to destroy this place, get rid of most of us, and because the prime minister want to import people too.
Listen, I am telling you, especially on this issue, this is, in my estimation, when you think about the government caring for people, look at the policies. Just sit back and look at the policies. This to me is one of the worst governments ever.
One,
Worst.
not one of. This
The
is the worst
worst.
government we've ever had, and we've had government during slavery. This is the worst. We are being
Oh
treated,
my
we're
God.
being treated like mindless idiots. And don't get me going, Marcy, because look, because I was stuck on the cybercrime bill, and that up to now I can't get it out of my craw, because that bothers me. That bothers me so
And
much.
there are two things that you sent me this evening, with that same Prime Minister Mia Motley, and I see I called the name to that person who said, don't, you're going to see in the next 2 weeks that every night we come on here we are going to speak about Prime Minister Mia Motley. And you had two articles there on it. We can probably start on that until thing. But let me just see if anybody else have anything on the food thing here, because this is driving me. I want to say on the food thing here before we go on the cybercrime bill. But it's so many things. I see you hold your head there, Mr. Franklin. But it's so many things, I tell you. I remember the time. I can tell you two things here. I remember when I said to myself, I'm going to get on board and try to support this government, and to work with them and so on, was in COVID, when I saw that they were pushing this agricultural program. I said this on the show already. And let me tell you something, the idea did not even last probably 2 or 3 months before they abandoned it. They abandoned the idea. And I'm thinking, look at the chance that we had, Mr. Franklin. If this was a serious government, you see, in COVID, we could have transformed this country in COVID, easily, Mr. Franklin, easily in COVID, because we were more, we weren't so much on the with outside forces, right? We were inside here. We weren't at the point where we didn't have a lot of tourists coming in. We could have transformed in here. We could really start there with agriculture, and giving incentives, the monies that you were putting in tourism, put it into the agriculture and encourage families, to start with their backyard gardening, education in that area. There's so much we could have done, And these little, I don't know what to call them. They said don't call them any names, Miss McLean said don't call them names. But there's a name that coming to me, I want to call them tonight. These people, Miss Franklin, they abandoned it and gone back again, gone. The first thing they did, pay over how much thousand they've gone to pay now for tourism banner, because they run back to tourism. Run back to tourism, got to pay all this money. You know how much we could do in this country with that money in terms of agriculture and encouraging it. And these people, they went, Mr. Franklin, and started telling us what we planted, how many trees they were going to plant.
Yeah, right.
I can't remember how many trees they had. They had the young people at UWI planting trees, not food trees, not breadfruit trees, not cassava. Not whatever trees that come in from this country, whatever. Say they have, they're talking about climate change and this and that and planting up all these trees with no food, not food. I think the policies that it's so foolish. Well, if you could plant regular, like just a tree that come from wherever, we could plant a much breadfruit trees, Mr. Franklin. We could be planting.
Marcia,
It's
let me do
not
something. Our problem comes from little or no food on the place. Because we could even plant trees in the gullies. And the monkeys will still and eat them, and we could come and have ours out here. You know, the monkeys only come and invade what you have because there's nothing in the gullies for them anymore. You know, so
My
that is
husband
one
been
thing.
talking about that for so long.
But when you say they go back to tourism, you go back to tourism and you feed the tourists on imported food. Why don't you feed them on our local foods? Because I had an encounter with some people from overseas. They came by a friend of mine. He took them to oysters. And he said he was complaining because he had ordered a snapper. You know, and it took so long. He said, but when he got the snapper, the snapper that tastes so good, he never tasted a snapper taste so good in his life, that he would have waited another half hour for it. It is so good. Our local foods, the way we prepare them. If you bring them and give them our local foods. The father said when he come to Barbados, he can come to get a continental breakfast, he can get in New York, so he can stay in New York. They come to get local stuff. And we give them what they can get overseas. And I think it's just laziness. A lot of the hotels bring people from overseas that don't know nothing about Barbados food. Barbados don't know how to prepare them, so they prepare the same crap they go over Sandyland in particular. Because right now you see Sandyland want to import people to do jobs at Barbados, and they will get the work permits. But that's another story for another time. I'm talking about food now. But you can feed them, and the farmers will make money because the hotels will have to buy the farmers' produce. The prices will come down because the farmers now have lots more land to farm. The plantations will farm, and they ain't gonna pay $8 a pound for yams. Or import, not that I don't want to import things from St. Vincent, but St. Vincent got some old hard yams that they stand here when we ain't got none. And you can tell, you can see them from a mile and over them is Vincentian yams. I don't like them. But that's what we have to resort to. Because our lands are lying fallow while we are encouraging other people to feed us. No, carry the phrase used to say food comes first. So, but no, food don't even come second, third, or fourth, or fifth. I don't know where food comes in. It's got much priority.
It's not a priority for them, and I say to us Barbadians, any government coming in, this has to be a priority. You know, I am sick of them all. Actually, I am like, because you're telling me you don't care about the people, and that's the problem for me. You don't care how we eat. Huh? How you gonna say you're serving us and you don't even care about the kind of food that we're eating?
Girl, best tell me not eat these. Rest assured, I am not going to eat them, but I'll keep them because in July I'll bring them back and show you. Yeah. Honestly, you know, I cannot believe my eyes. You know, these people, this madness. And I asked, they're there on the counter. They're not in the fridge. The house is closed during the day. It is hot. When you get in, you go open the doors, open the windows, so that this house will cool a little bit for we can occupy in the evenings. Because we face in the west, and the sun comes in, and we have a glass door. So the heat comes in. And heat ain't bothering these.
Yeah.
Heat is not bothering these things. I thought they're in the house all day. I don't put them outside and bring them back in. when they come home by evening, no, they're in the house, on the counter, in the kitchen.
Nigel says, and Nigel Newton has a point here. He says we have too many lawyers in Parliament. We need philosophers and psychologists in Parliament, and sociologists as well. That's the thing. We need to just change how we do things. We need philosophers and psychologists in Parliament who understand the process of social construction and nation building. Some of these people that are there as MP, what have they done? What did they do? What did they even build before they went inside there? That's another thing, that the foolish thing that we do, Barbados. We pick up and we vote for people that have never built a matchbox. Huh? Never organized nothing. Did nothing. Huh? And
You
put
know,
them in power and expect that they're going. They don't understand. Don't have a clue how to build anything from the ground up.
they never run a snow cone car. Nothing. Look, Nigel said that we need philosophers and psychologists and stuff, but they got spiritual advisors. They don't need spiritual advisors, they need psychiatrists. People mad as hell. No, they need psychiatrists. So some of these choosers, instead of having these debates, they should have sessions. Where the psychiatrists just have people sit down together and talk. Like, they need something. Idiots Anonymous, something. But they don't have the skills to run this place.
Idiots Anonymous. Because, well, Miss McLean said no name calling.
No, I'm not going to join. They could join.
But I mean, it's really rare when you go to Trinidad, and you see the fruits, and something else I want to say on this show here, because I'm very passionate about this agriculture thing, because I think that if we don't get in the ground, Barbados, if we don't do it, we're going to be in big trouble. We're going to have with our health, and there's going to come a time where we can't import. I don't understand, but anyway. But one of the things I thought, Mr. Franklin, when I came here 20 something years ago, the impression I got was that the soil was bad in Barbados. That Barbados, the reason Barbados imported so much was because we had bad soil. It was so bad, and Jamaica and Trinidad had better soil than Barbados. But as I'm living here, I realized, hold a minute, but Barbados was an agricultural society. Barbados was growing more sugarcane than Jamaica at one point. Jamaica, Barbados became Barbados was so wealthy when these planters were here. This is the reason they were coming here. And what was the main source in the economy? What was boosting it? It was agriculture, sugarcane and cotton. And I'm saying, and the more I read up on it, I realize that the kind of soil that we have is good for sweet potatoes. Some of those the root vegetables, the sweet potatoes, the yam. We have the good soil for that. But we are being fed that lie, and then they come and they said. Then the other thing was that, well, we don't have a land to plant. We don't have land to plant, and now you're buying up your all this land. You're repurposing all this agricultural land that have been left there all these years. Why are we living in this lie? The soil is bad. Then we don't have enough land to plant. These are lies. And then the next lie that we have believed is that we don't have enough water. These are lies.
Israel farmed the desert. And they have, so even if you don't have good soil, you can do things to get to produce, because Israel farmed the desert. You need water. And we can use the Jobby water instead of putting it to drink.
See?
But I don't know their motives. I don't understand what they're doing. What they're doing don't make sense. But the old man, just see when you see people fishing in the dry pond, don't probably what we're doing. These people are doing things, and we might believe that then it don't make sense. It might make sense to them. It might make sense because their handlers want to get their hand on this rock, and they're selling us out. They're poisoning us with these. Imagine I eat 4 pounds of these already. I didn't know.
They
No wonder
know. You see?
I wasn't feeling well for a little couple of things there a little bit because I was when I get tomatoes, my eyes go wild with them. I
Yeah,
love
you love it.
tomatoes. And
Wow.
you see, I tell people, like when the tomatoes are $8 a pound, I can't eat them. It's hurt my stomach. So when I spend them, it's dollar a pound, that's by enough. But I still had to go and buy some of these because even though I eat them at dollar a pound, $1.50 a pound, I still needed them. My system needed tomatoes. I love tomatoes,
Yes.
and this is why I'm buying that.
And you see, now you spend the money, and then it is bad for our health. We have to get back to the ground. Everybody, we have this weekend coming up. May is good. May is a good time to plant yams. My little old lady tell me, you plant the yams in May because May is yams turned backwards. And she said, yeah, that's what she told me. She's passed now, and she was the first person. She lived close to me, and it's in COVID that she explained that to me, and she was the first one who showed me what a potato slip was. And from then, I would then share from her what she gave me, Mr. Franklin. I now share that with other people and say, go and plant a potato slip. And I give away seeds and so on. And I have my yams now. I put some, it's April, I put some yams in the ground now, out there, because again, I really believe, just like how I believe about doing the show, I believe that agriculture is the area that we all need to go in, and we must take personal responsibility, and we must demand of our leaders, those that are leading, that agriculture becomes a priority in terms of policy, that they are pushing whatever the government is, right? We're not talking about party, whatever the government is, that agriculture is what we push. I know Miss McLean is going to come on, and this is one of her areas.
Yeah, I would have liked Maxine to be on now, but with all the
Yes, but
agriculture
she,
because
yes,
that's one of her that's things that gets her going. V Hoy said he grew up in he was Shop Hill. So Shop Hill is just next to Vaucluse. And in my days a lot of people from Vaucluse, from Shop Hill work at Vaucluse. If V Hoy is around my age and stuff, he might know Livy. Livy
yeah.
was my father. He worked on the plantation at Vaucluse. He was he eventually drove the tractor, at Vaucluse. And
Yeah,
he,
somebody here saying Barbados had the most sugarcane plantation in the whole Caribbean in there. Yeah, it is so true. I was shocked when I saw that square four. I had no idea. I didn't realize what an agricultural society this was. I had no, and these oh, I can't call any names. I almost called them a name there, Miss Franklin. They want to turn this into concrete jungle. You don't see, or you don't see what going on. They come in to turn this play, because this is where they get the kickbacks. Construction. Every politician knows. Mr. Franklin, when they talk about the building somewhere and road repairs, look at where they're spending the money, Mr. Franklin. Construction and road, because that's where the kickbacks come in for them.
the
Ask any old politician, they will tell
Marcia, Marcia, look, what you think Drax in England are so rich from Drax Hall? And they supply food and cans at Drax Hall.
you exactly.
And he's a multi-billionaire now, off of Barbados, off of the food that grew at Drax Hall. And they know want to stop from growing food at Drax Hall and plant houses.
Look at that. That's a
You know?
very good point there, Mr. Franklin. Let's stop. Think about what Mr. Franklin is saying, because sometimes we make these important points and we don't stop and think about that. That man is so wealthy because of agriculture. You realize that? And you're going to tell me what wrong with us black people? Something wrong with us that we live here and we can't see the benefit of that? When I went to Bannatyne yesterday, they showed me all of that agricultural land just sit there wasting. A little young girl, my goddaughter, came from Canada, and she was saying, "Why do you have so much wasted land? The land is just sitting there." She's only 20 something, and this is what she was asking me. And when I told her that we import 90 something percent of our food, she's trying to understand why. Huh? What's wrong with us? Why don't we feel that there's wealth in the ground too? Why we can't understand that? What's wrong? Is it that we need to go to a psychologist because our foreparents work the ground? We don't want to work the ground. Well, there's coming a time where we were going to have to. But the problem is that a lot of us not going to know what to do. Look how long it took me to learn. I only started in COVID. We're going to be way, way behind. I've learned so much more now, Mr. Franklin, than when I started in COVID.
But I remember when I would go to St. Lucia every year at Christmas to visit my in-laws, you know. And my father-in-law would go outside. He was a great cook, man. He every time he's going to cook, he go outside and pick things to cook. You know, he didn't use those little ball seasons that we shake and stuff. Never use them. But when he cooking, I left in the house, you know, till the food done. You know, and I would then I would get the food done, I get my nigga on tongue. But food smell good and taste even better. All from stuff that he grew around the house. I saw them growing some stuff there on the house. And then first time when I saw it there, them say that I used to be there. But they're called Shadow Benny.
Yes,
You know,
I
and
love it.
you know, but I used to beat them up. I see them there growing, I beat them up. I beat them up and shit them on trying to wear. I go to Lucia and I see my father-in-law cooking with that thing and think they're so good. You know, we could do so much. And with the crops that we have, the foods that we have, and the land that we want to keep growing it.
Correct, Mr. Franklin. Somebody just here sending me some blackberries that they're growing. And this is a 246 number, so it seemed like they're growing them in Barbados. And this is something that I wonder with all of us, we have about over 1,200 people watching here tonight. What 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 could we do? Just some simple things that we could do to start that agriculture and a love for it, and what could we do among ourselves, Mr. Franklin, that would cause us to it becomes an incentive to start to grow something. Like Mr. Franklin, you love tomatoes. Can you can we give you like a little something with that you can grow your tomatoes in, like a little bed? They have these raised beds,
Mm.
and you put your tomatoes, because really, I mean, when I would go, I would get so much of these little tomatoes off the trees. So tomatoes and peppers and so on. You can those things, if you can put the right type of soil in there. But I'm just thinking off the top of my head, and somebody might be there, and because I as we started the program and saying we are enough. We are enough. I see this sending around this thing from the immigration, Sandy Lane. Sandy Lane
Mm.
looking for a restaurant manager.
Yeah.
Of the 260,000 bright people in this country, they cannot find one of us to run the restaurant at Sandy Lane. Huh? Not even one. Let me not go off top. But what I'm trying to say is that we have the solution, guys. We are enough. You hear? I tell you, we are enough, and we can come up with our own agricultural plan for ourselves. What do you think, Mr. Franklin?
I know. It's about my wife. She plants her own plantains and bananas. You know, she's in Lucia, so she want but green bananas, saltfish. So she
Wow.
plants her own green bananas. She has plantains and she got macaboo. We call them buffets. They call them macaboo.
Makabu,
You know,
yes.
you know. And so she plants her stuff. I eat some of them. Um, she has the same Charlotte outside, and
Tell her
Now the
I
seed,
want some. I tried with a little piece and it keeps drying up. She need to tell me how to grow it. Go ahead.
the
Shadow Benny.
Albany. But what
It,
will happen when they get this when they grow and they send a shoot up,
yeah.
they have all the seeds. What I will do for you is when those seeds when it dry, I will get some of those seeds for you because then you drop
Thank
them on
you.
the ground and they grow like wildfire.
Wow.
They grow
But
up right now.
I'm wondering if I'm watering it too much because it starts to get dried up. But I will, yeah.
Okay?
We can talk off
Right now,
air.
if you go in my yard, like sometimes the wind blow up the seeds somewhere and they go drop on the cement and the cement is cracked. So right there between the crack, they got shot bunny going up to the crack in the cement. They go anywhere, you know.
It's delicious in your food. Very delicious.
So I promise you, I'll get some for you. When once it's dry, I will keep some seeds for you. It is so much things that we can do with our agriculture and stuff. My wife she goes out every evening and she takes care
Somebody
of the dog.
asking what is a shadow benny. It is a seasoning, right? It's
Mhm.
someone you use to season your food, and
And Barbados used to call them fitweed.
pigweed.
Fit.
Oh, I know the name that we can tell her. It is what's somebody else. There's another name that's uses the more cilantro. It's cilantro. It is a stronger version of cilantro actually. Cilantro is lighter in flavor, but the shadow benny it is stronger in flavor and it's used a lot in Trinidad. And I'm hearing now in St. Vincent.
I've heard that when like when the ladies have their periods and stuff, they make Benny tea and that helps clean you and stuff. That's what
Ah,
my mother told me when they told about it when they came back from St. Lucia, all excited about this thing. And she told me, oh, that's fit weed. And then she told me the medicinal properties of it.
right.
You drink it, make a tea out of it, and you drink it, and that helps whatever they do. I don't know. I never had one. But
Yeah,
so you
yeah,
see,
go ahead.
we can do so much, but we need leadership. But we have elected followers, and they're following, and then following about Barbados, they're following the wrong. Yes, somebody got shot Benny there. They're following the
Yes.
wrong thing.
Thank you, Dave. Thank you, Dave. We have to
Mm,
give thanks, give Dave, big up Dave. This is
mm.
Shadow Benny, guys. And it's really tasty. There's few people I know that don't like it. It is stronger than the cilantro, but you put this in a curry, man, it make a mean curry. I'm telling you. I don't know how they use it in saltfish for Saint Lucia.
But my wife, she cuts it up in her thing, she help use it as seasonings. When she making
Yeah,
seasonings, she put that in it as well. The
yeah,
Trinidadians make a seasoning with it.
yeah. But you can put it in your pepper. Like if you're making
Mm.
pepper, that's why the Trinity pepper is so tasty. They have some of these things in it. Well, I think I taste it in there. I've never seen a
Yeah,
Trinity make the pepper. I am assuming it's shadow benny, so don't write me. But I think it's
yeah,
shadow benny.
they do,
They put it
they
in
do.
there.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Somebody say it's great in oil down. That is great in oil down. Let's Miss I know Miss McLean is going to come on tonight. Didn't necessarily go the way that we planned, but that's okay. I would like to know what can we do. Yes, we need leadership. Can we provide leadership? There are again over 1,200 of us on here and we can all, not just the panelists, not just me and Caswell and whoever else come on. Miss McLean is getting ready to come on. But we can lead. We are leaders. You understand? We're leaders. What can we do so we can in our own communities, right? In our own communities, So I tell you, sometimes these MPs they just feel like it just because within the communities, Mr. Franklin, there's so much that they can do but if they don't want to do it, let's forget about them. Let's talk about ourselves and see what can we do to get that gardening going in our communities, right? Miss McLean is here. You have to give me a thumbs up. So I know she's ready to come on. Oh, she's ready to come on, Mr. Franklin. I'm enjoying the show.
Hey, Maxine.
Hello, Caswell. Let me start. Marcy, I sent you a message just now. I
Yeah.
thought I had sent it, but Caswell, guess what I ate a few minutes ago? some yam.
Yeah.
You can't get no more lovely local yam. Lovely, lovely. And
Wow.
steamed dog too. What
And
that
Steve
sounds like.
Johnson.
I did that. Yeah, I did.
What's the name of the yam? What's the name of the yam?
That's probably Lisbon. I don't know. That's Lisbon is a lovely white one. Cooks right quickly. If you forget it, you would end up with yam soup. But it's a look.
Ah,
Somebody
what is
sent it.
that one? Is that oil down?
That
That's
I
oil
yes,
down,
yes,
the
yes,
Grenada
Mhm,
oil
yes, yes.
down.
mhm, mhm.
And this is yeah, Grenada oil down. And they use the shadow benny in it. So that's why I would thanks Dave. Yes, Miss McLean. Oh boy, listen, I know this is your why you don't why you what listen, what how come you're not the Minister of Agriculture? But anyway, go ahead.
Actually,
There's a
I
vacancy. There's a vacancy. You know,
There's a
somebody
vacancy
just
because we don't have nobody to fill it right now. It's like a ghost in there not doing a thing. Go ahead.
I don't need to be Minister of Agriculture to propose what I'm going to propose. No, I saw as I was turning as I was shifting because I was watching um um on Facebook before I came on to stream. I don't usually go on to stream. I don't have ready to come on. But I saw somebody wrote credit union. So I looked up and I obviously once I see that, I am interested in pursuing that. But in all seriousness, but you have heard me, Marcia, talk about agriculture because not only do I have a young relative, a niece, who has made agriculture, she's trained in agriculture at Samuel Jackman Prescott, what used to be Polytechnic, now Institute of Technology as it's called. She then went to BCC, did more agriculture, and then was heading to Trinidad. And then she said, "No, I'll do something else." And she did a double major in economics and management. But the important thing is that in looking, thank you very much, Jillian. I'm happy to be on. Um, and she really has. Okay, so you met my niece, remember?
yes, I
Yeah.
remember as well.
Yes, yes, yes. You met my niece. And she would have gone through when I talked to her about the program that they did. Their program is so I here looking at myself without glasses. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Oh, girl, you're so cute. Girl, you're
Trying
so
to get
cute.
used,
She's
get
like,
used to my body lens.
I
But
can't even
anyhow,
concentrate. As well, she said, I can't concentrate. I just been looking at
no, no, no.
myself without
I'm
glass.
just I'm just trying to get caught.
Yeah.
No, it's just that I have to get used
She's
to
like, she said,
looking at myself
yeah.
without glasses. Anyhow, I'll be back in glasses shortly because I need them for distance. But anyhow, um, first of all, I want to say that those young people trained in agriculture at our institutions, whether it's the two in Barbados, as I said, BCC, SJPP, SJPI, PTI, or BCC, and then the St. Augustine campus, these people actually receive excellent education. And what I would want to say that part of the shortcomings of that program over the years was the issue of lack of access to lands. Now, I hate to hear people say, "Oh, young people not interested in agriculture." Young people are interested, but they're also frustrated. I know one young man who has made a decision to go into agriculture, and because of the vagaries of things like monkeys, for example. But my point is that with a little bit of investment into research and development, and this is where when the gentleman talked about cooperative stores, I don't go down at that end yet. Let's talk about how these institutions can assist young young people trained in agriculture to apply technology and so on. I share videos with young farmers and so on. I remember watching a video where I think it's at Kenya, one of the Eastern African countries, either Kenya, Uganda. I've seen some from South Sudan, but these young people have been experimenting with water saving devices, for example, because we 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 may have water, but if we go and commercial water is expensive for farmers. So one of the things that people have to learn to deal with is the whole question of water capture and storage.
Mhm.
How can we do that in ways that will allow people to access water? I mean, as I said, what is so difficult to give a group of professors, lecturers, students grant funding to do some research in some critical things. I heard Caswell talk about his father and the cucumbers and the whatever. They call it heirloom seeds. You
Mhm.
know, when you harvest and you save seeds and you keep them for the next crop and so on. And so that you also have what are the tradition. You mentioned cucumbers were there was a cucumber that had a yellowish kind of streak to it with a really nice taste, the local ones. I heard on
Right.
the program, yeah, on the program, there's somebody working within the Ministry of Agriculture or something like that, or used to, who has been systematically collecting those kinds of things, what we call heirloom seeds, because you talk about your mother's heirlooms, you get a pair of earrings that your great
Mhm.
grandmother had. Same way we talking vegetables, because what you mentioned about those Monsanto or whoever these people, they are selling you hybrids, and the intention is not to reproduce again. You may throw the seed and it may grow a little bit, and you get a few things, but the intention is that you have to keep coming back and buying seeds from them you know and so that is part of the challenge. So I mean, I really think, as I said, if the credit union movement, and I am going, as I sit here, Marcia, tonight, I know that if I tell you, you will make sure that I do it and so on, but I am proposing now that a consortium of credit unions, and then we can approach it through the big one, City of British Public Workers, COB, Barbados Workers Union. UWI is not a big one, it's small, but there's a thing should be to pool some resources and create a fund which would allow people to come with some research proposals. We have a lot of young, bright engineers, people trained in agriculture, people trained in physics, chemistry, the related things that you can pull together to develop systems to address some of these things, because we talked about greenhouses, but from my understanding, the traditional greenhouse in Barbados would have problems with the heat. But I know, and I think I might have mentioned it on this program already. I know that there's some young people who are doing research into cooling greenhouses.
Mhm.
To bring down what you call the ambient temperature. I sound like I know what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
Or I
yeah,
just
it's like interesting,
to bring
really.
down the temperature. So, for example, you would notice that I think we probably had last year was the hottest year in terms of temperatures. This year is looking to surpass that. And so the question of drought and flooding and all of these things, we have to be thinking, how do we capture water? How do we, where there's kind of scarcity, utilize water as fairly as possible, but making sure that the plants are able to survive. What about shade houses? There are a whole set of things. The other thing, Marcia, so I'm saying, let me wrap up that point so you can make a note of it, that the financial institutions, and I go to credit unions because that's an institution, but I do not exclude commercial banks. In fact, I should say commercial banks, because credit
Mhm.
unions, people always call the name credit unions, but commercial banks can take, let me go to commercial banks and part of the credit union. Commercial banks can take some of those profits that they export, that they repatriate to the home countries, to
Yeah.
create a fund for research and development in agriculture, whether it's techniques of production, water saving devices, devices to address, um, and that's right, Nigel. Corn. As a child growing up, you see the old people with the corn hanging up in the kitchen ceiling or whatever, you know,
To
and
dry.
that was intended. Hmm?
That to dry.
Yes, and so it dries, and then they use it to plant for the next period around. So I am saying that we have to, and it's not going to take a lot of money. I remember when you were talking about COVID, Marcia. I think I heard you say that
Mhm.
when the during COVID, agriculture production went up to some extent because we couldn't get imports, etc. Now, one of the okay, somebody saw the seed vault and the seed depository. Um, but actually, Cami, I think there's somebody doing some work on this, but I would research it because I heard the young lady speaking. Um, but the whole issue of I was talking, when people were planting more,
Yeah.
and we need to plant more and experiment with other kinds of crops that we can. I mean, I was looking for a video, but I had to I stopped to go and to come on the program to sign in. But I remember watching a video. There's a Ghanaian man who exports sliced mango all year round to England, to supermarkets in England. Let me tell you how he does it. Now, we don't even supply sliced mangoes to hotels here. You understand? But this guy is supplying, and he has facilities for growing and preparation and processing in West Africa and
Mm-hmm.
Eastern Africa, Southeastern Africa, because of the climate differences. You get the seasonality, you get different productions periods and so on. So I think that that's important. So in terms of what you were saying, and I know that Kimar is online, so I will try and touch on the several points I want quickly. So there's the whole question of financing for operations for the actual farming. There's the whole question of research and development to support the farming effort. And
Mm-hmm.
you mentioned, I want to touch on something that you mentioned, and that was the very luscious cane you saw growing in Bannatynes today. Now, we cannot, or should I say, we should not abandon sugarcane. I'll tell you why. Aesthetically, from a land, from the, I say aesthetics, from how this landscape looks.
Yeah.
Sugarcane is a grass. Our soils are, by and large, in a lot of places, fairly thin. Ironically, areas in which they clearly have good soils in that area, and they clearly have, as we mentioned when we were talking about Drax Hall, what we have to understand is that Drax Hall um, is in what I call the agriculture belt of Barbados. So when you go and take out 50 acres, if it is part of the prime, if these are good acres for agriculture, then you're depriving. But I'm saying that sugarcane is important, as I said, because as a grass, so to speak. But remember that one of our major exports has been rum.
Yeah.
And if we continue to import molasses, a significant percentage of the molasses that is used in the rum production in Barbados has been imported. I see a plan, and I wait to see what the next 2 years bring in terms of that, a plan to produce more molasses here because it's absolutely essential.
Mm-hmm.
We have also gone into the business of, um, rather than bulk selling of rum, we sell a lot of branded rum, which is good. In the same way, with the shift in things, we have now also been selling branded sugar, packaged for domestic consumption and so on. So I am saying that when we think of agriculture, we have to think in terms of strictly commercial, and sugar cane is one of those things. What I call domestic commercial, and there is, if you want, at some point I can get him on the program. Our honorary consul in Suriname is an agriculturalist of many, many years. And the last time he visited here, and a friend and I, we took him around the island, and he was lamenting the lack of use of space. And we talked about water. He said there are ways of getting around that. We went into the St. John area, and the areas where bananas are grown, what we would call the tradition, as we were passing through that part of the island. And he looked around and he said, with proper husbandry, these these cultivators of bananas can earn so much more. So he's saying that if we manage, so I guess
Mm-hmm.
people probably plant them and they do little between crops and so on. But he was explaining as he was driving, how these guys can enhance their production by what you call better husbandry, better farm management, in terms of the fields and so on, and the actual plants and how you trim, because you often see a lot of dry leaf and foliage on from the thing, And so he went into those kinds of things. And what he was saying to me really is that, look, so at Everton, I stopped teaching a lot. Let me bring Mr. Ware to my
Oh,
class.
but he
Like, okay, listen. But and so but he was explaining that the other thing is that we were exploring the issue of some additional crops that we have not been growing, and so to me, there's a lot of scope. And then of course, Marcia, as you were saying, I mean, I love to watch you in your garden. Um, um, Again, no, our molasses is a premium quality, and I remember discussing that within the context of the co-op that took over the sugar industry. And I really am going to do some research, Marcia, and get some updates on what's happening there, because once you say co-op, you have me very much involved. And then of course the artisanal or the backyard subsistence kind of arrangement is good, because at the end of the day, I think nothing beats eating fresh produce.
mm-hmm.
Whether it is vegetables, fresh fruit. Um, and I started talking about the guy in Ghana who exports. Now, I use that to say that we have across the island a range of mangoes. I mean, as I drive around now and I look at the blossoms on the mango trees and so on, and if I go in 3 months from now, 4 months from now, when you start to see local mangoes, and I can bet you I can go to restaurants on the West Coast, the East Coast, the South Coast, Bridgetown, and ask for sliced local mango as part of a fruit plate in Barbados. It ain't happening. If anybody can tell me that they were able to get fresh local mangoes in a local restaurant for breakfast, when my tree grows, I will give you 2 dozen. So, sure, I
Mm-hmm.
am serious, because things like that you don't get. And you mentioned the Caribbean. I have traversed the Caribbean, South and Central America. And one of the things that was common, whether it's in Jamaica, Trinidad, Colombia, and some of these other places, you go to breakfast and there is local fruit, you know, there is
Mm-hmm.
local fruit. And I'm saying that, and now it may not be for the lack of trying, because but it is, in fact, I will tell you this. I understand that there was a Barbadian business person, not no small entrepreneur, but this person went into Guyana and was exporting sliced fruit of certain kinds, pineapple or whatever the case may be. But I am saying now to the chefs, to the purchasing managers, the buyers in these restaurants and so on, look at, and I can understand a chef will tell you that he or she does not have time probably to peel a mango and do it. But if a man can export mangoes, fresh mango, which Bajans go into to the known supermarket chains in the UK and these places and buy them, um, why can't local buyers in restaurants attached to hotels and so on do these things?
Yeah.
What I can tell you is that there's some techniques in which you can quick freeze certain fruits, and when they are on frozen, I have in my fridge right now a sample of plantain which was frozen like that, and then you thaw it in the fridge and you fry it. Now, that was something that was conceptualized between myself, a former student of mine, and um, folks in Suriname, and
Mm-hmm.
that's how when we were talking about bananas, because
Right.
we were looking at the ways in which we can do it. So what I'm saying there, Marcia, let me just wrap up quickly,
Yes,
is that
because I
when
have
we
two
start to
more
talk,
waiting.
right, yeah, that's why I said once when we start to talk about food production and so on, agriculture, there are several strands to it, and I have not even touched on livestock and small ruminants. But if we talk about black belly sheep, I will just send out the message to anybody who keeps black belly sheep is the only lamb I eat. So if you have for sale, let me know. Because it is some of the nicest lamb and some of the nicest red meat, I will call it, to consume. And we in Barbados produce. I don't know what's going to happen to the ones that went And my final say, Marcia, is I am asking you to ask the minister. I'm asking the gentleman who carries the same surname as me, Dr. McLean, Leroy. Can you supply the Marcia Week show with some photographs of those bouncing baby sheep that were born in Guyana and the one that parented them so that we can say to the Barbadians, here are the sheep. I almost say sheeps. That some people say that the sheep that we have talked about. I find it passing strange. I am very curious that in all of this discussion, since then, nobody has offered us a picture, not a video, not a still photograph of those sheep. So I'm asking we haven't established that we're relation yet, but I will call him my cousin. Eddie McLean for now is my family. So Leroy, Dr. McLean, can you supply us with some evidence of the thriving sheep in Guyana? We will be happy to see because I want to see what's happening. I heard you speak of a certain gentleman who won't sell you one, and I understand why he loves his sheep, but I would like him to sell me one. But there's a joke I will explain to y'all off. But there's a Barbadian who loves black belly sheep, and he's very much into growing them. But I've been trying to get one from him for a while, but we will talk about that later.
Yes.
Okay,
Well,
over to you,
you
Kim.
know, Miss McLean, it's always great to have you, and I know that you're excited about this topic. We're going to go right into the cybercrime bill, and we have
Before
Kimar.
you before you do that, Maxine,
One second, Mr. Franklin, 1 second. I'm doing something really personal right now. I want to get some molasses, okay? I don't take any time for me personal on the show. So there's Born Again. Born Again.
I have some that I bought at a place. And if it is still there, I think it's on the counter. The challenge is that I still need my glasses for distance. But if it is still there, it is yours.
Oh,
Okay?
wow. Listen to that. And she sells as well. So Born Again, message me, please. 236-7000 on that molasses that you have there. Born Again. You go by the title Born Again on here. And let's get us buying her molasses.
Oh,
Right?
somebody has some selling. Okay.
Yes,
Good.
this lady on the screen. I need
Oh,
to
I
get
know, see. Right. I see. Good. Okay. Well, yes. Very good
and I
for you.
and I coming to get that molasses this weekend, but from you. Go ahead, Mr. Franklin,
Okay.
and
no,
then
I
Kimar.
know I would know everything suggested to Maxine just know that he should get some person into her class. And I have to say, sorry, Maxine, you can't come, you can't read.
Lord have mercy. I knew it was something, Kimar, good night, Kimar. How are you doing, Kimar? Kimar, we listen. How are you doing, Kimar?
Hmm. Good night. I am well. How about you?
Doing great, doing great. It was good to see you yesterday. At the leader of the opposition at the press conference. I went there as press and carried it on the Marcia Week show, and a lot of people saw it, and it was very good. I thought it was a very positive press conference, and I really like the atmosphere. It's a lovely office actually. That is up there, and I was told, I asked the question, if the public was invited, and they said yes, for anybody who has any anything that they want to say, any ideas or anything that they want to share with the opposition, they're free to go up, right? And I'm sure you'll be able to give proper directions of where the opposition office is. It's the opposition for all of Barbados, really. So we are free as citizens to go up. You have an issue with the government, anything you're going through, you can walk up those steps and go right in there to the, to speak with people there in the opposition office. And that was my understanding of it. So over to you, Kimar. We know we're going to go to cybercrime bill. Can you tell the people where the office is?
Right. Well, good night to Caswell. Good night to Maxine. And good night to all of the members of the loyal opposition, all of those persons who are viewing the Marcia Week show this evening. Happy to be with you. Um, the opposition's office is on Hink Street, in the Thomas Daniel Building, second floor. Um, if you know where the car park is, where the old helipad in Bridgetown, the building right there where the old lottery was, where they had a lot of betting shops and gambling shops, um, which is right next to the BTI car park, right? So it is on that stretch. You come with the door and you think, and you come straight up the steps, second floor, and you'll see a sign, Mark Leader of Opposition's office, and somebody will greet you there.
Yes.
Don't
Thank
tell me
you.
don't near immigration.
Right, immigration, right? BTI car park, and the immigration is in that same complex, I think, I believe.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Yes. All right. So Kimar, you have something for us to discuss here about this the cybercrime bill. Today is the last day for submissions, written submissions based on what the memo said. But we're having some challenges here with this. So can you shed some light on it for us, please?
Yes. Well, to update the lawyer opposition on the latest developments happening with the cybercrime bill, um, I would have personally received a letter from the parliament asking me to make a contribution to the cybercrime bill. Because as you know, we would have been advocating against it from inception, right? So in kind spirit, we accepted the invitation. And on the invitation, which was also printed in the newspaper, it was printed all online, it was sent out broadly. It asked those persons who were interested in participating to write to the parliament, to the committee, and signify your intention to do so. And there were two options, either a written submission or an oral submission, right? So I would have opted to do an oral submission. And one of the stipulations for the written submission was that you had to submit the written component today, by the end of
Yeah.
today, Friday the 26th of April, right? That was printed in the news for all and sundry, right? Now, today, I got a call from Parliament, and it says that the chairman of the Joint Select Committee on the Cybercrime Bill, that the chairman is requiring me to submit my oral presentation in a written format, in a written format before 12 tonight, because they want a chance to review or study what I say before I actually come and say whenever I have to come and present my oral submission. I checked that ad, right? I checked that ad, and nowhere in that ad it said that you had to submit your oral presentation before the time, nor did it say that you had to came out this evening from the call from the parliament.
Kimar, that suggests to me that who is this chairman? And I think he went to Harrison College. I think you should know the difference between oral and written. So he wants your oral presentation in writing.
Yes, I opted to do an oral presentation.
But he wants your oral presentation in writing.
Yes.
you can't get better than that, you know. He's Eddie Hinkson, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
But Kimar, what are you gonna do? You can only sub. So you but no, they invited you. So you just are expected to get an appointment and turn up then.
Yes, I don't
That's
mind
what,
turning up with the presentation on the day and handing it out on the day in
if they
written format.
no, but if they invite you to do it and you said you want to do oral presentation, they just give you an appointment and you go and do it. Now, I personally, because as you can see, I am under restrictions. I plan to write a letter because today I was on a meeting for several hours, a Zoom meeting for several hours, so I didn't get to do it. And I say because I want to do one because I'm trying to avoid being on the computer and all of that. And I went back to the rules, and the paragraph does say that if you submit and you have the rules in front of you,
I
Kima,
have it there. Let me just read
because
it.
I
Let me
I
read
can
it.
put okay, read the two
Yeah,
paragraph the
let me
paragraph.
just read it. Because and just clarify something here because it is it is in a memo was sent. So let's talk about, yes, Kimar might have gotten a personal invitation, but what is
Mm-hmm,
important here is that a memo was sent from the parliament, and it
mm-hmm,
said someone it says here that the committee also invites persons who want only to make an oral presentation to indicate such desire and interest to the committee. So let me read that again. The committee also invites persons who want only to make an oral presentation to indicate such desire and interest to the committee. And Ms. McLean, let me just mention the other part of it, which says
right.
outlines that if you are making a written submission, then that written submission has to be emailed no later than the 26th. You have up to midnight. But at no time in this memo that I have here in my on my phone does it say that that oral presentation had to be submitted in writing on the 26th. It didn't even have a deadline. So that is, I think that we need to make that distinction. Go ahead, Miss McLean.
This goat wouldn't make good mutton.
No, that's what I wanted clarified because I had read it and I said, good, I can indicate, and I didn't tell myself I will write saying that I want write a letter to the person to whom it is addressed. I think is the clerk of parliament, that I want to do a presentation to the commission, not to send. But you don't. Yeah, you got me lost for words. So yes, and so apparently, Mr. Hinkson, you seem to have been changing the rules after the fact. You can't do that. You shouldn't do that, and it wouldn't. And I certainly will be writing to your commission via the clerk of parliament indicating my interest on doing uh, a, a presentation to the commission, not in writing. And you don't, and I'll tell you because I am sitting on a commission right now. So what they would have said in there is that you also they may ask a person who has submitted a written who has done a written submission. They may ask the person to meet, and the rationale for that is that you may have a submission where the commission feels that they want to engage you further to develop or get clarifications. So that is possible, but you don't tell me after the fact that if I want to know, um, as of now, you'd be changing from what was advertised. So I will stick to what was put out there. If I went to a supermarket and the price on something was X dollars and the prices of the new stock went up 10 cents, don't tell me that you can take off the label and in my presence and stick on a new label and say the new price is this. I pay you what is there. So may not be the best analogy, but I would expect that dear Mr. Hinkson will understand that he needs to abide by that. You
Hinkson,
know. Uh,
understand? They don't work. They don't go together.
he went to school with my brother, so I think that he didn't go to school in August. He went to school with my brother.
Yeah, but he went to school, but he ain't retaining nothing of absence. The man just did like
Yeah.
I remember when he was minister
No,
was
no,
to prison.
leave Mr. Hinkson alone, please.
Yeah. But Kimar, what I wanted to, because Miss McLean, let me, before I say this, Miss McLean, when you reached out to them today, were you also told that the oral presentation had to be in writing by 12 o'clock tonight?
No, I asked for the rules. I contacted the clerk and asked him to send me the rules. And he said the deadline for the written submissions were by midnight. And I said that I want to request to do a presentation, but I will write them a letter indicating that I want to. But he sent me the rules so that because I heard the conflicting thing from a couple persons. And remember, you called me to clarify. So I asked for the rules, and so that's it.
So they changed. They probably did not expect that so many persons were going to respond, and they would have heard us asking for people to write in and to make oral presentations and so on. And could it be that it just got changed today because there are people overseas who are making oral presentation via Zoom, and they were never asked, Kimar, for it in writing, and we're never given a deadline on when to, no deadline, because they were not asked for, and I'm looking at the memo here and I can read, and it's not there, but I just wanted to say that. And let me go back to Kimar.
Yeah, go right. Kimar, Kimar is
Kimar?
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. Well, my intention is to participate in the committee. However, I don't. This is where we get problems with people in power, because you put out a set of rules, and then at the last minute you want to change the rules, right? And set type deadlines. It's like you almost setting it up, knowing the intention you had in the first place was to ensure that some persons may not come there to present what they have to present, right? So I am going by what has been put out there. I'm going by what was sent to me in the official letter, and any changing of the rules would have to be announced publicly, and a new ad put in the newspapers, and a new ad placed all over GIS and everything. Like what they did before, to convince me that this was not a selective act, because I don't know where nobody else was asked for their oral presentation to be given, and they say the next meeting is the 6th of May. That is all next week, right? So how is it fair, or how is it right that they would have that amount of time for me? They have so they should prepare their response and give it to me way before the time. Right? Fair is fair, right, Caswell?
Yes, I have actually sat on one of those joint select committees, and the people who asked to do oral, then we ask them if after the presentation if they can put something in writing for us, give us their bullet points or something like this. You can't change the rules in the middle of the game. Now, you hear people always talking about moving the goalposts, but this is what they're doing. As a matter of fact, they're taking up the ball, so they don't want you to play. Somebody reminded me just now in the chat that I said it was a sham. You want any more proof? Tell Mr. Hinkson. I just Google oral for him to test if he can find it, because I thought a word that so simple wouldn't be. You don't gotta Google, but it says by word of mouth, spoken rather than written. Eddie, let's say it again. By word of mouth, spoken rather than written. He's listening.
As well, you're gonna hurt Mr. Hickson's feelings. Don't do that.
Now, if I'm going to do that, I would say to
Yeah,
him, he would understand this. He might understand this better. Bah, bah. So that means he understands that. I saw that in the thing once. I love it. You don't understand that.
you know, that's the thing. Now I'm seeing a message here, and I don't want to say who I'm getting it from because they never allowed me to say. They said, okay, it is sorted, so it's back, Kibar. It's back to what what they said it was. I guess they tried to pull a stunt here to control who can
They don't
speak
want to stop
and
him.
to
Kimar,
censor.
they wanted to say they sent him an invitation and he ain't come.
Yeah,
That's what they wanted to
right.
do. You know.
So that's it. They wanna control. They wanna control. I don't think they expected the numbers of people and the responses, and they hear us, So and they call up our names in Parliament and inside the House there in the Senate. So they expected. I don't know what they think is gonna happen, and
Maxine,
they're worried, and so they're doing censorship before they even have the bill.
Maxine, you were leader of government business in the Senate.
Yes, sir.
You were aware that you can't call people names in the Senate or in the House.
The rules are right near to me.
Okay.
Standing
But
up.
if a MP cannot call names in the House, how can a witness before a committee call names? It's an abuse. I am so peeved with this. And funny, They got to
I
call
know.
up Marcia Beach name, Caldwell, right now, key Marcia. Call yours to Marcia because I don't know what's the problem. They bring up the heavyweights to break the rules. To try to make people think that and they sure are mad people. Like we can't read English. The thing says, if the person is embarrassed, whether it is true or false. So if I tell the truth on you, I can get locked up. And he wants to defend that and come in and call him my name. Then the rules say you can't call names, And the thing is, if a person who was also leader of government business in the other place come in there and do that, it's deliberate. You know it is deliberate. Deliberate worthlessness. And they pull no stocks because they want this thing passed and they want to make the opposition to it look like idiots. We are not idiots. I have not been on this program with any idiots for the last 9 months now, Marcia. I ain't finding idiots in this group. So if I had found an idiot in this group, I would have told them already. And Maxine, I would. So so I ain't finding idiots here yet. And I need an apology, You ain't gonna put it in the press. But you cannot come in here.
Mr. Franklin, why what you're saying is so important, and you said it the other night, and a lot of people skip over it. It's when they hear us being treated that way in those settings. That's why people would believe that they have a right to harass us with these letters and to threaten and do these kind of things because they single out people in the way that they're doing at that level. Only yesterday I was up and I was talking to Miss McLean. She says a trailing truck. We went up to Bannatyne, and there was I said I pick up a trailing truck. The truck was trailing Mr. Franklin.
That's serious. I laughing, but I said I was laughing, but that's very serious. Repeat it. Sorry, I was laughing.
A trailing truck was there with us, Mr. Frank. No, I'm telling you, it's the people up there. They saw it as well, and they're going to figure out who was this person hiding off in the bush in this truck. And all I had was a camera, the cameraman, and the people in the community. What could I be doing? But when they mention the names like Kimar and my name and whoever and your name and anybody else's name, then some of their supporters, get all thing, and that is why they need to come out and first apologize, as you're saying, and also to speak to the supporters that they need to relax, and not do these kind of things. But Kimar, is there anything else you want to say about this? Because it's actually, I'm getting a message in my phone now that it's fixed. It's gone back to what it was originally, and you should be able to make your oral presentation oral. Is there anything else you wanted to say on this, Kimar?
Well, you see, you see, you see what is important that we think, because I I thought that I was the luckiest man in the world to find out that I was specially invited, right? So here was I thinking that, I specially let me go and see, this is a first. But we always know something is always come. This is the first time I've ever heard that oral presentation be submitted in a written format. That defeats the purpose, right? That's like saying you're a member of parliament, and before you get it in the House and Represent, you have to come and give your speech to the Prime Minister, and the Prime Minister will be able to vet it and tell you, or you could go there and say no. But I mean, it happens right now in cabinet, right? But still, no, 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 no. You put out a set of rules, you can't come and change it at the last minute, right? Because if you know you didn't want us there, you should have never invited us, right? You should have never put out advertisements and expressions of interest in inviting people there. Look, I think we are being nice. For stuff like that, and I don't want prejudice to think so early, but I, I'm worried about if we make such stellar presentations, what will be the outcome? Because if tactics like this are being pulled already, and we never get in the place yet, right? We never get nowhere near the place yet, right? But this is the Barbados that we live in. Almost
That
full
we live
blown
in. But
dictatorship.
Kimar, I'm glad you said that, because when I was doing up this show tonight, I was going to put a different picture as my thumbnail. I actually had a different picture of some picture we had of the cybercrime bill. I went back and I changed it before I hit send and put the minister's picture. And there's a reason that I do these things. You see, by 8 something, the message was on my phone. I only just saw it though, that it's changed. Because they understood that we were going to come on the show and we were going to put pressure on them. Gone are the days, Mr. Franklin, that they do us something and then we have to wait to see if the newspaper is going to print it, right? If the newspaper and when they're going to be able to print it. You understand, Kimar? They do it. They do it, and we in real time. We on here. It happened at what you call me about 4 o'clock or so. And I said, oh, okay, so that's the show tonight. We knew what we were going to do. And I put it on there and I put his name on the topic. And that is the power. I'm telling the people, we have the power. You understand? And we had our senators there, the people. This is why I say to people, when I start hearing these people, Belgians, we need to stop this nonsense. It's so important to have the leader of opposition there. It's so important as well to have those senators there. Senator Ryan, why can't I never remember his name?
Walters.
Ryan Walters, right? And Trisha Watson. It's so important to have them on the inside. As soon as I heard, I reached out to Trisha Watson. I said, what is this? This is so important. So we are fighting, they're fighting in there, Kimar, and we are out here. It is so important. And look at what we had tonight. Then they're able to send them the message and tell us that everything is back to normal, because we have some people in there that are being bulldogs for us. Very, very, very important. We continue to use this show and we continue to fight with the show. And that's what they don't want to happen, Kimar. So you go in there and you make your speech inside of there. Yeah. And Mr. The lawyer, he spoke for how long? He went in and he spoke for what, 2.5, almost 3 hours. and then they're going to tell us we have 10 minutes.
Because it's about
Right?
him. It's about him. First of all, he did the work. I don't understand, and trust me when I tell you, I doubt him. I don't believe what he said about this thing came out of the Law Revision Commission, because this bill is identical to things that happen overseas. The Law Revision Commission just happened to have the same thing as Canada, Sierra Leone, Nigeria. I don't believe him. That cannot be true. So when he said what he is doing, he is trying to make it look like this again. You know, people talking about homegrown. This isn't homegrown anything. So when he said that he did
Homegrown
all this
what?
stuff, the identical provisions, and even the same 7 years in jail and £70,000 and all kind of stuff.
That is not true.
In other legislation outside of Barbados, and he's going to tell me he's going to sit down in front of a camera in Barbados and say this to the camera and other people inside there. It ain't the truth. It cannot be the truth. He cannot come up with the same thing that happened in his commission and come to the same ideas that they're having in these other countries that have this identical provision in their legislation. No, it is not true. It is not true. And what got me really vexed,
that is not true. It's not
Marshall,
true because as you're saying it now, when you think about it, all you have to do is to go and research it, and you will see. And what they do is that some countries adopt certain parts and they leave off certain parts. So it is something that it's in that part of the Budapest. Budapest, is it a convention or something like that? No, that's not homegrown. It's not homegrown at all.
So 976 Freedom says, so disappointed by Mr. Simmons' actions, thought he above that. So you understand how I feel. I worked for the man. I was his personal assistant. And he had the gall. I was going to say balls, but I'm not going to say that. To come in front of the public and mislead. I just had a lot of respect for that man. And he kicked it down.
Caswell, I can see you are hurting.
I don't believe he would do that.
Yeah.
And then go and break the rules and encourage them to break the rules. Because I remember Marcy night I was saying that it cannot come back before members of the House. And then Tricia, when they was talking, Patricia wrote and I said that I was correct. He knows that. He knows that. Having been leader of government business in the House, he must know that. And he's not a little monkey lawyer like Edmund HINKSON. He was an attorney general. Look, this man, I think what he did when he was his career, I think he did about 24 murder cases and win all, no, but one. I didn't think he win the other one on appeal. He ain't a little monkey lawyer. People overseas beg him to come to help them with their work. When he was Chief Justice, all the other squads of Commonwealth were calling him, asking him for assistance to do work. And then he took all that and squander it by just one bit of bail per yard vote. You know, I'm ashamed,
Well,
you know, this piece of legislation is so important. Somebody just wrote me a note. Let me read it. The person says maybe these actions are indicative of how the law will be used. Heaven forbid. Let me hope not. You know.
You know, they want to put me up, dogs. I represent prison officers. No, they want me to go up there and first take care of me. Because Marcia, I ain't gonna stop talking.
Yeah. Well,
I am not going to stop talking about these atrocities that these people want to impose on us and to go up here as little dummies walking about the place, silent and afraid to walk and afraid to speak. They tell me that when he was born, the doctor didn't have to slap me, the midwife didn't have to slap me, you know. I did bawling when they come out. And I ain't stopping. foolishness them telling me.
And you won't let us forget either.
Well, on the 4th, Kimar, on May the 4th, because one of the things that we are going to do, we will continue doing. I went this same day, actually, when we went to the police and lodge a report about that little foolish letter. Um, we left that police station, went to the other one in town, and we put down 4 dates in May. I was calling you, Mr. Franklin, couldn't get you. I said we can always change them. I put in 4 dates in May for the marches. Okay, 4 dates in May for the cybercrime bill march, because I understand something here, guys. We cannot sit back and say, oh, well, they have the submissions, and then they have, people are going to go in and they're going to speak. No, we are going to stay. We're going to make noise. You understand? May the 4th, we are on the streets of Barbados. This is very important. And I'm spending now 7 years in jail for the unnecessary thing. Okay? Listen, folks. We are on the road. You see, May 4th? May 4th. Listen. Auntie, granny, uncle, sister, every picnic, dress up everybody, and we on the street. Very, very important. We are fighting for our country, fighting for the soul of our country. May the 4th, on that Saturday, we are on a march about this cybercrime bill. You understand? Because as Kimar said, can you imagine if they're trying to stop this, to change up things, to frustrate people? No, Miss McLean. Can you imagine what they plan to do? What they're trying to do? They're trying to really, really, really make this thing into law in this country.
Emerson Bob wrote a comment here, and he said, he also said that your statements about the bill were not true. I read from the bill. Those were my statements. So if I read it and it ain't true, how was that? I read it. Marcy, remember I reading them?
Yeah.
So if what I said was not true, then I did reading, so I didn't read the correct words, because those were the words of the bill. I was reading from the time I was a little boy, and I could read, I could understand, and that is what it says. So when he said the statements that I make about the bill were not true, he got apologize.
Yeah.
And when they spoke to him, he said they got a point. When we spoke about it, because he heard me and he spoke, he said I got a point.
You should have asked him to apologize to you in a form that we would hear.
I don't want an apology for he right in on that. So he wanted to come back the same way. He tried to embarrass me. Because we spoke on it,
Yeah. Well, let me hear. Kimar, we're closing. And Kimar, everybody jump on your issue. And thank God it's resolved. That's a good thing that it's resolved. They say it's resolved, but at least we have aired it out in the open, just in case it rises up again. All right. So.
Well, Barbados gets weirder and weirder every day. I don't know. How can you want to? How you want real? I can say it before I say it, so that you got a week to prepare for what I can come and say in a week time. I have never heard anything like that in my life, right? But that is the direction Barbados has gone. More importantly, though, I just want to thank everybody for continuously paying attention to this cybercrime bill, because remember, this started with us. Looking out for the ID, and they were supposed to come and bring legislation to handle the ID, and they tried to sneak this thing in because they went into the parliament, tabled this bill, right? But they were discussing something totally different on the floor, right? So we had to jump on it. We even went as far as the Bahamas with this cybercrime story, right? And now we're here. So let's continue the fight. On March 4th, we out there. We on this cybercrime bill, and we will be in the Senate to present what we have to say orally.
Yeah. And I believe Rose Corbin is going to present as well. Hoping that Miss McLean would present as well. Kimar will present. I'm getting quite a number of young people from the University of the West Indies, and spend a lot of today, all of today, working on these submissions to get into, and we have quite a number of persons that have told me that they're going to present. And so I think that they realize that something is coming out. We're not joking, and if they're listening, we know they're listening, so you can let them know that we will come in and we will respectfully make our presentations, but we're going to be very firm and very factual.
Mm.
Be very factual. All right. So yes, Miss McLean, before we close, any your final thoughts?
No, I am happy that you got that resolved because I think that we must be able to take government at its word. And
Yeah, right.
what happens if you ask for public consultation and that is what people want, and people find it important, they will come and contribute. On other cases, if people don't find it important or if they figure it's not something, this one has severe consequences for people, and I mean it is totally um out of the usual. So I anticipate that people and they are interested in sharing their concerns where they exist, and they should be happy. So when I heard the questions being asked, I contacted the clerk to have him resend me the rules, and after I saw them, but I will still, even though there's no deadline, if once I don't go to sleep, I will, before midnight, I will send a note indicating a letter requesting an appointment to do so, because I don't want to find myself hearing later on, well, so many people want it, so we can't accommodate you. So I'm going to send a letter to meet this deadline, simply indicating I didn't get an invitation like Kimar, so um, I will ask to be given an appointment as well. That's
But
what
the
I
thing, the
propose
thing
to do.
about it is that somebody's asking here, and I know that this is something that they were asked to do, and they didn't respond to it. There in that press release, there was no
No
deadline for
deadline.
oral. We have oral submissions or oral
No,
request
no,
to give oral. Right, Miss McLean?
no, there's none, but I'm giving the reason why I'm gonna send the letter,
Yeah.
because
No, I
I
was no.
might
This
hear,
person is asking. I guess they
no,
want to. They want to do
there's
oral.
no,
There's
there's
none.
none. Mm-mm.
There is none in there. So I don't know if it's
But
that's
if you
a
want, I
government.
would simply say to the person, if they want to be comfortable, just write indicating, as I said, that you request an appointment, so that at least when other people, they don't say, well, we have gone past. I'm just scoring through the thing here again, um, you know, to make sure there's none. They say the committee, it
Yeah,
says here, in
there's no
keeping,
date.
right, they invite
I've
people,
read
but
through so many times. There's no.
yeah,
I've been working on that the whole day. There's no. They have no
okay, there's
dates in
none.
there.
There's none,
For that.
there's none for that. But if you want, as I say, do like me and write them soon using the same address indicating that you want an appointment to do an oral presentation. That way they know, and they can schedule them according to the number of people who signal. And because you have written in a reasonable time before that deadline, they can't tell you, well, we booked so many people already and whatever, whatever.
Yeah,
That's my
yeah,
recommendation for that part of it. That's not an obligatory thing, but that's my way of dealing with it, so that they can't tell me they know nothing about me.
yeah. So yeah, so that's that. We got a lot in, we got a lot done, we're working hard. And I know that on that committee sits the leader of the opposition, and one of our senators, Brian Walters, is on that
On
committee
the committee,
as well.
right.
And Senator Tricia Watson is working like crazy
Mhm.
to make sure that we have all the submissions. I'm so proud of that
Right.
team. Honestly,
Mhm.
honestly. I know it felt good, Mr. Franklin and Kimar and Miss McLean, to have somebody that we could go right to
Yeah.
today to say this is happening. You understand, when you don't have anybody in there. Now we have somebody say, listen, this is happening. And they said, we are, did our strategy. Okay, you use the show, we gonna do this, blah 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 blah. And look at it. We strategized this evening after we spoke with Kimar, and it's done, it's resolved. And that's what we're talking about. We need to just cut out all of the stuff around this stuff. Just think about the country at this point. And the opposition is the opposition for Barbadians. Try to understand that. Mr. Franklin, you have the last word. I keep jumping in.
All right. No, EZD says, nobody said I was balling on my way out. And EZD says, and you'll be balling on your way out. Meaning that when they're going to give me balling too. Yes, EZD, that's correct. I am not going to sit down idly in Barbados and allow people to trample me or the people I love. And I love Barbadians. So you gotta do a lot. If I don't like it, I will speak about it. And I didn't just start doing this that last week. Maxine will tell you. I was speaking out. No, Maxine, how many years? 40 or more. My teacher in primary school reminded me that I came to him one day and talked to him about something that he was doing. I wasn't pleased with it. So I didn't just start. He reminded me that he saw me, tell me about that, And so I will speak up. If they want to lock me up, well, I've made enough friends everywhere that I will get a good, at least they will give me a good view or something. But I am not. Marcia, trust me, I will speak up as long as the Lord gives me breath and I see something that is going wrong.
Marcia, Casper said something to me 40 years ago, and I never forgot it. He said, I didn't believe in drinking or smoking, and my father could not send me to buy rum nor cigarettes. Even if it be, you ever tell me so, Casper, or you forget that?
Yeah.
So I always said, well, you can't intimidate me into doing.
We will not be intimidated, and I want to say on behalf of all the panelists, on behalf of this show, that there's no amount of letters, no threats, no trailing trucks, nothing is going to stop us from coming on the show or at any point to open our mouths. You understand? And speak up on behalf of Barbadians. So don't worry. I know a lot of people are messaging me, but don't worry. Nobody's going to run me out of here. I told you already that I'm no Clement Payne. It's not that they could try all they want. You understand? That we're not going anywhere. We're not going anywhere. We're standing flat-footed, and we are speaking on behalf of the people of Barbados. All right? Until God says we're to shut up. And I don't know if he will ever say that, because God is on the opposition to. He's always speaking out on behalf of the people for issues of justice and etc. Okay? So you stay strong, everybody. We are good. Don't worry. I know the cause. I'm fine. And we are going. Thank you for being interested, but we are good. All right. God bless you. I love you. And we have a great weekend. Enjoy your long weekend.
I don't eat these.
Yes. And remember to prepare for Joe's River. Joe's River is coming up, guys. On Monday.
No, I thought he's gonna play cricket with those.
Bring them and play cricket at Joe's River. Don't bring them. We're not putting them in the soup.
No, I want to see how long these gonna last.
All righty, folks. And the Health and Wellness Festival. Oh, I didn't get to talk about that tonight, but that is coming off. Remember, the 24th is a private event. Is happening where they're visiting the elderly. But on the 25th is a big event, and we want everybody to come out on the May the 25th. We have the outing that we're going out to Joe's River, and then we have a big outing at King George V at the Health Festival. All right. Okay then, guys. Okay. God bless you all. Have a good night, and nobody move until that song play.
English. Pretending to be good. Hey, pretending to be good. Just pretending to be good. Hey, pretending to be be good, good. I just pretending to care about people. 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 Pretending, and I'm pretending to be good at maths nor English. I just pretending to care about people. And I'm pretending, to be good at maths nor English. I just pretending to care about people. I'm pretending to be good, 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 good. And I'm pretending to be good at maths nor English. I just pretending to care about people. Good, 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 good. And I'm pretending to be good at maths nor English. I just pretending to care about people.
Listen, this
I
gonna be a
like
this
the
gonna
little
be a
puppy
crop
in the
over.
chair.